We're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Angel, if you do a roll call for me, please.
Sure. Greg Phylack,
Here.
Tom Tuzen,
Here.
David Hume,
Here.
Jack McLaughlin,
Here.
Sandra Starks.
Here. You all right? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will say, since we're having audio issues, I would keep the audience.
We're having some audio challenges tonight just with the recording. Obviously, we can hear each other here, but since the microphones aren't working, I just ask if we are speaking with public comments, we just project. So one microphone on the computer to catch it. And also just if you're not speaking, just keep it down, please. If there's any comments beside conversation, just outside. Have a motion on the meeting agenda.
Well, I have one ask.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can we move the budget up to the beginning of the meeting as opposed to at the end?
Yeah, so we, and I agree with.
It would be the whole section of 8.
Yeah, do the whole section of 8, do that up to, do that, say, after the third party reports, do after 5, or after 6, I should say.
Well, was there anybody who's here?
Yeah, nobody's here for Crow Incorporation Sheriff's Department, and then the only thing you do have is the certificate for the bathhouses, but I would say do the certificate and then move to 8. Yes, sorry, 8 and 9.
Take 8 and 9 up to before the consent agenda.
Yes.
Got it. Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
All right, public comment periods. Okay, so, for those of you that did put in the sheets, I appreciate it. So Angel will call for 8. Again, there's gonna be 2 separate meetings within here. By state law, we have to do our budget meeting as a separately noticed meeting within our regular meeting. So the comments for right now are going to be comments just for the regular meeting items. So anything not specifically related to the budget, if you'd indicated that on the sheet, then it will put people. Again, just in the interest of time, because you have a lot on our agenda, we've got almost 2 full pages. We ask you to keep it to 3 minutes, and again, you can take the podium or just try to project for us as you get on there.
No, that's during the public hearing.
That's good. Let's go.
Mary Jo Kraft.
Yes, I saw something.
Right, come up a little bit. We'll need your name
This
and
is
address.
master plan.
I live at 1100 Roseland Place in the East Village. I just know something on the budget for the master plan. But there was no money involved in allocated. I was wondering why was there what you had?
Budget or labor.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Olson, Recreation Center.
Good evening. I am very alarmed at the thought of a $40 million bond. The burden of this community. Is that what we need at this time? I think most of the people here would say, no, it is not. And it also will open up our community to anybody in the state of Florida to come in here. I am worried about the crime that would also perhaps come here and devalue our property. And I'm also very disappointed that it seems that this wasn't very transparent to the rest of the owners of celebration of what exactly was happening here. I think this is not a community of filthy rich people. Take up that bond out like that, I'll be dead before it's paid off. And I'm gonna pass that debt on to my daughter. I am sitting here representing about 10 other people that couldn't make it tonight. We are all very alarmed. It's a little reminiscent of pickleball, if I keep bringing up the dirty word in the room. But I don't know what the people are thinking. We have plenty of recreational facilities here in town. And shouldn't we first fix town hall? It's almost been 2 years and there's no definite plan in place for that yet. So I think we need to get our priorities in order. Thank you.
Linda Camarillo. Sorry if I butchered your last name. Thank you.
I live at 315 Grand Magnolia Avenue, Town. And I pretty much am echoing everything that Mary said. Mary is a board member at Sienna. I don't think that we have our facilities up to standards yet. I see that we have trees that need to be taken care of, that were being taken care of before, that are not being taken care of. Are they being taken care of on the right side of the tree? That's what I'm seeing, what people are talking about, how they were used to being cut and now they're not being cut, that kind of thing. But especially that I have a daughter as well that I want to hand off my unit to, or possibly up to if I can, but this is going to make that impossible. I worry about her future and I worry about ours. And I would like to see a rec center, but I think I would like to see us up to par. I don't see that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just ask, that if there are specific trees you're seeing that aren't being made, send an email later so you can go out and check. Thank you.
Joan, and I'm sorry, I know I'll butcher this.
It's wrong.
Rock, okay.
I'm kind of like everybody else about the 40 million bond. I like to know how you do a study beforehand. You don't even have the bond secured, so you're spending money before you even have. So is what you're gonna do. I too didn't want to Super Bowl for it. Those of us who live in condos have seen a double in our expenses. Now you want to go to a $40 million bond, that's gonna be even more expensive. So you're just pricing people right out of celebration. They're not gonna be able to buy. It'll be 2008 and everything's gonna collapse and there'll be no money.
Thank you. Wagner Walindi. I apologize in advance.
Part of the Sienna.
I'm sorry?
I'm part of the Sienna board.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity.
You speak up just a little bit, sorry, just so we can all appreciate it.
Yeah, which is,
That might, that's why it's projected. so-
Okay. yes.
Thank you.
So, so why the concept of this new center is it's essential that we first ensure full approval for proceeding. The consultant team, it's and the underwriters are already aligned, already hired. And they stand and will be paid if this bond is issued. I know that there is no cost of front, but they are work on it. Our community is facing a lot of hurdles, a lot of pressures. The insurance cost is really high right now. We have increased assessments to take care. We have high inflation, right? That is affecting everybody. And we have challenges on ownership, and it's affecting everybody. So given this pressing issue, it's imperative that we not rush the 40 million bond. And without a commitment, and involvement of units. This project should be put to vote, up front. And the resident has a direct say, whether or not we consider it significant financial burden. Furthermore, while we have a consulting and underwriting place, their involvement should not override the need for transparent and democratic decision making. They should work with us, not ahead of us. Let's ensure that we prioritize the public's voice in this process. We owe it to ourselves and make sure that any decision of this magnitude has the full backing of those with real impact.
Thank you. The other ones are for the budget. Other than Smithy Sipes, you have like four things on here.
I got a bunch. Do you want me to just talk about the community center and do the budget? Do that?
The budget is only during the budget hearing. That's the only time that we're taking comments on the budget is during the budget hearing,
So
but
maybe the community center first.
yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll come back with you.
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, thank you all for coming tonight and speaking your mind on this community. It's something we all more and we don't. So I appreciate every one of you being here tonight. As far as the community center goes, I know we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. We had a huge meeting, tons of people there. Matter of fact, a cross section of town from people that didn't even have kids yet, people that just moved here from California to older people in our community. Everybody's concerned about this community center and the up to $40 million bond on this community center. I know the vote got tabled at the last meeting. A couple things. I'm wondering if all the people there, I mean, I was there and 98% of the people did not want this. Why was the vote not taken then? It just said, hey, you know what, nobody wants this, we're representative of the people, we're gonna vote it down. Instead of tabling, because all you're doing is tabling is trying to move into a meeting where none of us are there, so that it can get voted on and passed through without.
Guys. Yeah. Exactly.
There is this $40 million bond, or up to $40 million bond, is not the only option. I know on Facebook I get told that, I don't have a solution to this for problems. Not true. I have a solution for this. It's already gone to the finance committee, PROA. It's gonna go to a vote for PROA. It costs no money for anybody in this room. It only costs money for new buyers to come into town. And it would help pay for this community center. It might take 3 or 4 years before we have money for it, but it would help pay for the community center. So it's something to consider. The last thing I want to bring up is the way that the money for this Diggs Hike study, whatever you want to call it, has been done. It started out with $250,000 that was not budgeted. You guys, I think, voted on taking it out of reserve money to spend. Now it's up to $400,000. It's still not budgeted. Is that coming out of reserve money?
Actually, that's not accurate, but
What is that?
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to know how that works. Maybe when you guys talk about that in much more. All right, that's it for me for this part.
All right, thanks. All right.
Third party reports. Do you have anybody from PROA? Incorporation, Andy, do you have any updates?
I sent out the update to the entire board. Outside counsel has sent a letter up to legislation asking about the House bill, I believe, Jay, is that accurate? We have not gotten a response back as of today.
Said in the last meeting, Jansen, 6 months for an AG, so.
Yeah.
Probably the end of the year before we hear anything.
Probably.
Let me see here from the sheriff's department. The only thing I will say there is I did follow up with the district captain after the last meeting. We always augment their staff. They usually bring in about 20 on-duty deputies for Halloween. We pay for an additional 4 or 5. I asked them if we could go ahead and start that safety plan now. Last year it got started a little bit late and we were not involved in it, so I did ask them to be involved in that. So put it towards Angel that going sooner rather than later. So I don't know, Captain Thomas.
No, but the last time we spoke was he wanted to get through the busyness of school and getting all that situated, I guess, with school coming back online. And then we were going to get together and he was going to let us in on his Halloween plan.
Okay. Anything else, sheriff's department related? And finally, the certificate of recognition for Mr. Jacob Pearson. So for those of you who weren't aware, we were approached about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, by a Rising Eagle Scout who asked us if there were any projects that he for us. Something we had gotten several queries about over the course of maybe a year from different folks. Was the idea of doing bat houses. They actually draw bats out of the areas from housing themselves and we'll pull them kind of back into the woods. So he did some research on that, did a presentation in front of the board about 3 or 4 months ago, how he put it out. Then I think it was right before last meeting, actually got there with Russ all that was put up. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight. We do have a certificate of recognition. We can work on that all. So just wanted to say thank you to the Eagle Scouts, to Mr. Pearson in particular. Great. So, all right. With that, we will go into the public hearing for the adoption of the 2025 budget. So we need to turn our meeting.
No, I would need a motion on the floor to open the, first of all, before we open the public hearing, does the board, so we can do it a couple of different ways. The board can start discussing the budget and then you open it for public comments and then we close public comments and then the board votes on the resolution and so on.
I personally prefer to get the comments first, so that way whatever questions may come
Yep.
from the community, we can try to address those.
Absolutely. So what I would do is I would ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we are now in the public hearing for the budget and we will open it up to audience comments pertaining to the budget. We need to stick to the budget. Yes, I have 2. Anna King. Yes, ma'am.
They're not going to use this, right?
Project our microphones over there by the.
Okay, thank you. We've just moved here about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. We live across the street of one of the townhouses. And we're very happy to be in celebration. Unfortunately, you guys raised the HOA in January and now it looks like you want to raise it again. And it's a bit frustrating because a lot of us here are older people and some of us are retired. I'm on disability because I just had spinal fusion surgery, so I cannot afford all these races that you guys are doing out of control. It seems to be that are unnecessary. And I would hope that you guys think of a lot of us that cannot afford what the 30 and 40 and 50-year-olds can, you know, and so please think of the rest of us that may not have, you know, the bigger salaries that we used to have. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is that if there are things that somebody's not checking, like for example, at Versus Street, there's a light for me that is on the whole day, most of the day, even if the sun is shining, the light is still on the street. So now some people are not checking on this. And then, for example, sometimes it's pouring water, it's pouring rain, and then the water sprinklers are still going on. So I feel that there are things like that that we could save a little money, so you know that could go into our accounts, but that we're not paying attention to. And for example, when we had the drought, there were times that we could have run the water a little longer, so we wouldn't have all those plants die that now you guys are replacing. And but then when it's raining a lot, the water continues running. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff that is not being watched that you can save money on. That makes sense. So again, I just say please, like people have said before, the vote, because there are a lot of us that we moved here with the, you know, the way it used to be, and now you guys are just going crazy, raising the prices, and we're gonna have to move, you know, because we cannot afford it, because the lot of us that are retired or on disability cannot get a raise at work. So, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The only other one I have is Smithy Sipes.
Deacon, all right, I'm back. All right, so for this segment, let me just take a Rick James quote and turn it around a little bit. Money is a hell of a drug, and we're spending money like crazy. I remember 3 years ago in the other building, there were a ton of us in there because there was gonna be this massive tax rate by you guys. And we all talked about it and it came down, came down, came down, we're just under, 20% or whatever, and we all agreed to that. Now, at the time, none of us knew that the next year we were gonna get the tax increase, and then this year, again, we thought that was the only one. And, it is tough. I mean, you took a pound of flesh then, the people in condos here know this big Sears study that's been going on by the state of Florida has taken a huge pound of flesh out of them. Now here's another pound of flesh coming out. How many pounds of flesh can we take out before we all die? If it was a private company, they'd go back to all their vendors and they would say, you know what? Hey, we haven't got the budget this year. We need you to figure out how to take 10% off your budget, and then come back to us. So I think that that's a better idea, maybe with vendors that you guys have. Let's go back and tell them to take a haircut. Why should we pay in when they could easily take a haircut and we paid in the past 2 years double-digit increases? I'd rather say no to any tax increase this year or for the next few years if we can, and move forward with a budget that reflects that. Thank you.
I don't have any more.
That's all public comment. So we'll close public comment and then.
But I need a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Sandra, second? Jack, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, public hearing is closed. That would move on to board discussion regarding the budget.
Did you want to take us through? I know we had a couple of presentations there before.
Sure. So essentially what we did was we went through the budget line for line. We've had, I think, 3 total workshops, kind of getting it down where we needed to. The big driver is the number in your contribution to reserves. We talked about the insurance claims that have come across. And as you see in your financials through June 30th, that insurance number is over 200,000. That now, so there's 2 parts to that. We do have money set aside as self-insured, and you also have deductibles. So as claims are filed, we have to pay that. So that's where we allocated it to that line until the end of the year when we're going to kind of move it and see where we need it to come out of. So there's been an increase in that with trip and falls. You do have an obligation as a district to maintain your assets with the insurance company and everyone. So really that's the driver that, depending on where that number falls, is going to change your assessments. So we've already gone through every single line numerous times. It's just that line item that we need to discuss.
So,
You want to, sorry.
that I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
do you have an idea how to
Yes.
get it lower?
So the biggest driver in that was talking about the sidewalk project. We were tasked, staff was tasked to go back and see how we can get that number down as much as we possibly could with still being able to do a good amount of sidewalk work. So we were able to get that number down. You have the presentation in front of you. Carrie can go through and answer any questions regarding that. So what we did is, you want to go ahead and take over?
Yeah.
Can that go up
Yeah,
this way?
Yeah.
sure. Brenda, can you put up the sidewalk project that I sent you?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Sure. And then as we go through, Carrie can walk you through each component.
Go behind it. We'll just have it in my discussion.
Okay. So here we go. Next slide. I can speak to this part. So FIA, who's your insurance carrier, they have a grant program. Currently, what the grant program does is it's a matching grant program. It's based on your premium. So whichever, and this is for every district, not just Celebration. Whatever your premium is currently, they give a percentage and they have a formula that it works through of any repairs or maintenance that you do to mitigate liability, such as sidewalks. They give you X amount of dollars back. What Celebration qualifies for, you'll qualify for this year because we did do a large project. And you will qualify obviously for next year if we do another project, but right now they have not finalized what the amounts are gonna be for fiscal year 25. But fiscal year 24, you'll get at least 3,000 back, which I know doesn't seem like a lot compared to what you spend, but it's something. And the insurance companies do that. I have to fill out the paperwork and submit. When we did the Boulevard, that you also got 3,000 back for that as well.
Something that's always been in place, we've always done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, just wanted to make sure it's in here. Also, I did ask insurance for the demographics of the claims that have been submitted. And all the claims that were submitted in fiscal year 24 were an age demographic of 47 to 68. Just for,
I asked.
Sure.
Was paid out.
Currently, $120,000 through June. And we still have,
Got one today.
yeah, he had a deposition
working on it.
today. I have 2 depositions next week.
Just for the audience identification. You get a deposition of like 3, 4, 5 a month.
On average,
Yeah,
about
that's-
2 by the time they get to the process of doing mediation or depositions. I know Russ, over the last 6 months, how many have you been in?
4, I believe.
I've been in 2. So,
So yes, it's both cost and time.
oh, absolutely. So, next slide. Okay,
Right, so Gary Satterwhite, Director of Field Operations for Infomark. So scope of the project, replacing elevator and broken CD sidewalks. So if you walk through that. So this is all that goes into it, and then I have a series of pictures because we did a kind of a test project for the community, so. You can go next one.
go to the next one, Brenda. Okay,
Yeah, so what we will do is we'll put together a detailed project plan, scheduled for our demos and concrete pours. I have walked all of North Village, most of Celebration, did a site audit report. Every single panel that does not meet ADA requirements, which is a 1/4 inch difference in elevation, so. And part of the plan is the location of the dumpster, and that something that we had discussed, Russ and I had discussed. There's gonna be a dumpster out in front of your house for, I don't know, 10, 12 days at a time before we relocate, so.
And sorry, Carrie, again, just maybe for the audience, just for folks who haven't been in some of our budget workshops, maybe 15 seconds. From a board perspective, we've been tackling sidewalks all along. We haven't been tackling them fast enough. The sidewalks continue to pop when you have hurricanes or anything else, aging, trees getting bigger, faster. So what the board had tasked staff with this budget cycle was, normally we've got our in-house staff that just deals with them kind of as they can. We had done 2 years ago, we had gone to an outside vendor to augment our team, Celebration Boulevard, it's about 300,000 that we ended up.
just
doing.
under 4.
Okay, we ended up doing several hundred panels in one shot, just to kind of accelerate the repairs, get the sidewalks back into condition. What we've been discussing this year is we realize it will be a multi-year project to really get caught back up with this augmentation of some outside support. So we had asked Infomark to look at either outside vendors, well, I'll say both outside vendors, as well as if they brought in a separate project team. So our staff can continue what our staff does. This would be an additional augmentation potentially by Infomark to help us speed up some of those sidewalk repairs. Because as we've heard from a lot of folks in the community, that's one of the things. I mean, it's getting on infrastructure. There's certain pro things and our things. One of the big ones on our side is getting sidewalks taken care of. So that's kind of the background of the meeting.
And the Infomark Field Ops team is separate from the Celebration team.
Good.
One of the things we discussed was notifying residents. We haven't created a detailed plan, so you'll know 2 weeks out when we'd be in your neighborhood. Follow-up notification 48 hours, because we're pouring concrete. And it's very expensive to bring a concrete truck in, so we need to make sure cars are moved, stuff's not in front of your house, so. And then just this detailed project of in front of your house is gonna be disrupted, probably for 10 to 12 days at a time. The project that we did, we were doing pours almost every 10 days.
Next,
And mass communication, Facebook, ask Crowa to do the blast, CDD website, the My Celebration app. As I walk the villages, I can't tell you how many people came out, what are you doing, what is your plan? So really direct communication with the residents. And then we will have a printed copy of the project plan in our office. You want to come in, hey, can I see, where are you guys in a month?
And we'll also post the schedule as well, right?
Yes,
Yes,
Mhm. correct.
you can go to the next slide.
If any of you are not familiar with My Celebration app, there are a couple folks talking about, hey, some different lights out and trees out. Go to either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and look for My Celebration FL. Download that, that's how you put tickets in, that's how you also get updates from staff pushing out information. Things like this.
I want to say in May, we got board approval to do this project.
Yes, it was at the May 28th meeting. It was the test part, which he's gonna get to phase 1 of the test area.
Yeah, so we did 170 panels along Acadia there, all the way down to North Village Street. That's that highlighted walk right there.
So if I can add to this, so originally when we were talking about this, was it 5.5 miles? Something like that, a sidewalk that had to get. The dollar amount we're initially looking at was $1 million. And so one of the things we went back and forth on is, you know, we need to be able to go ahead and figure out how many panels of sidewalk actually go ahead and place, right? Because we can't go ahead and say, okay, you know what, it's $1 million. Throw $1 million at it, sounds good. And we know this is a multi-million-dollar project, right? How many panels can we do in 1 year? Different aspects involved. That's what this plan's about. So they were able, in a short period of time, to go ahead and do this particular street. There are different types of trees here, lots of roots, lots of everything. It's a little out of the way, so they can figure out, okay, how logistics in terms of planning would start. And that's when they figured out, okay, this is how many panels we can actually do.
Correct.
Get into that.
Thank you, Tom.
Next,
Initial budget was $100,000. Actually, Russ and I kind of drove around, tried to pick the best location. We didn't want to really disrupt homeowners. There's no homes on that side of the street. Multiple species of trees that we're going to encounter. We started on June 3rd. We finished it on July 19th. Our last pour was on July 19th. I think there was a day or so cleanup after that. So we got 170 panels. We spent the 100 grand at about 159 and just finished it out so we could complete the entire sidewalk. So we were averaging about 25 panels a week, a little bit quicker towards the end. I think one of the things we didn't anticipate is we ripped out a bunch of panels and then we're trying to maintain slope over a long. So it took us much longer to get it framed up. And we kind of changed our thing. We got a little faster at it. Once we get into the neighborhoods, I think the pouring will take a little bit longer because we're bouncing around, but the framing will be much quicker because we're doing 1 or 2 panels at a time. So total yards, 46 yards of concrete. That is your cost is the 163. I negotiated it down a little bit, but I was telling Greg earlier, Russ had called the word concrete one day and you need to wait. There's a 500-yard pour ahead of you. You know, that's 50 trucks and that was one single pour and we're not going to do 50 trucks in a year. So not much negotiation price, but I did get it down a little bit. So we're ordering 8 to 10 yards at a time. Anything less than 8 is a short load and you pay a $300 short load fee. Now, one of the things Angel and I have talked about is Infomart buying kind of a smaller 2-yard wagon. If we get in a situation where we only need a couple of yards, our guys will go pick it up.
and we have that. There were no turf damage or landscape damage during this project. About a dozen sprinkler heads were damaged and they were repaired right there at the time. And 1 reclaim pipeline had to be relocated. No pipe breaks, none of that.
As you're aware, the last project, I think we're still trying to get irrigation fixed from that.
Yes. Next,
So I think everybody's aware of what the sidewalks look like. We can plus the next one.
next. Next. Next.
All right, so one of the things we were trying to figure out is how many dumpsters do we need? How many panels can we get in the dumpster? How long does it take? So we were getting about 22 panels in a dumpster and then we kind of hit our load limit. The challenge that we were up against was they only pick up Tuesdays and Thursdays.
It's 3 days a week, I think.
Okay.
Next,
It's definitely not five.
Yeah, so, roots are a problem. This is, I think this is the first day we pulled panels up on Acadia Terrace.
next,
That was from like one section, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 panels maybe.
next,
One tree.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go to the next one, so, and really the size of the roots. How big is that pipe, ½ inch?
No, that's, oh, that one there.
Yeah.
Half inch, probably, yeah. Thought that was a different picture.
Yeah, so, yeah, we were finding irrigation going through roots. I was actually down there one day cutting a bunch of roots up, and you can't avoid hitting pipes and sprinklers. They were going through the roots.
next,
Size of the roots, you can see how big some of those that were cutting out of there.
next. Next,
Yeah, that was, I don't know how many trailer loads we got out of that, so. We go to the next one. But you can see, there's the irrigation head coming up between the roof, once we pop the panel. So it's almost unavoidable to not hit that.
Right.
But when we're there, we fix it right away. We locate it, we find it. You know, our guys are fixing it, so there's no issue.
next,
Angel, let me just pause.
sure.
I want to make sure, kind of turning this back into the mindset of the budget as well. I mean, this is good information, but one of the things we talked about was part of the reason Infomark was able to drive this down was number one, they understand the community better than everybody else, and what we're actually coming up against. Number two was the other bids we were getting from vendors, correct me if I'm wrong, outside vendors were a fixed price basis for panels, but it was all time and materials whenever they come up on roofs.
Correct.
So that's why you're gonna see an incredible upside risk of cost once you get vendors actually coming in here and realizing past 15 pages of what they're gonna encounter. It's gonna be well above what I think I'm hearing you guys are able to do on a fixed price basis.
It is, and we're next. So that's just kind of right before the pour.
Yeah, and so the board knows, the Infomark guys, this is what they do. We've got 2 or 3 guys that is all they do is concrete work.
Next,
So cleaned up, framed, and then our pours.
next,
So I think I took this picture, Tom and I went
Yeah.
down to take a look at it, and I took a picture that day.
next,
Yeah, so North Village, I walked all of North Village, every single panel in North Village is inventoried. 935 panels that don't meet the ADA standard. So I have 57 that are low priority cracked. There are some that are cracked adjacent to a panel that needs replaced. Those are included in that 935 count, but there are 57 that really it's cosmetic.
And,
But
and again, just so everybody understands, the ADA standard is important because once we're outside the ADA standard, that's when we get the problems.
that you are liable.
liable.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so, replace all the panels. You know, I deducted kind of the low priority ones that are really just aesthetic. So, and timeline based on what we were accomplishing, 25 panels a week, we're probably in the 38 to 42. So, one of the things I did discuss with Russ when I did the inspection, from Kinder Care down in front of Georgetown, there's about 35 panels that are crushed. I think Russ said that happened.
8x8s too.
And they're 8x8 panels. So I don't know if you're looking for an opportunity for reimbursement, but there's a significant cost there. It's much greater than the low priority panels.
So what he did here was deduct the low priority panels unless the board says, well, let's go ahead and do them to bring your number to the 548, 750 as opposed to 584. If you do, and again, the Kinder Care, and there's other places around town that in front of condos, they may have had window washing done and there were heavy equipment there that crushed sidewalks. We do have that information, so it might give the district an opportunity to ask for reimbursement.
Have we already actively, you guys are already actively seeking when you know that somebody brings a charity
Correct.
here. Have we already engaged on some of those to say we know we're gonna get reimbursed, we know we're not when we fight?
We have notified them, but we have not been made whole. No.
Gary, I have a couple questions. You got North Village there. When you did your survey, what area was mostly, planes coming?
They're all over. That's the problem. They're not in one specific area. There's some in front of,
They're all.
Yeah, they're just-
village. What I'm getting
they're
at
all
is
over.
Main Village is the oldest village.
Hmm.
Okay, and probably the most traveled, probably has the most damaged things. Have we investigated what Main Village would be as a priority rather than North Village?
So I started that inspection, I divided it kind of based on the canal. Half of it, I had almost 1,000 pounds just on the one half.
Okay, and when you did this, you actually had kind of a pristine test bed, because you were not dealing with houses that had hedges and various other things.
Mailboxes.
The mailboxes should not be in the way, but I'm just saying.
Some of them
hedges,
might.
stuff like that. Where do we stand as far as liability for trimming back by hedges that are sidewalks?
Or is that part of the project plan that you'll go to folks ahead of time and say, hey, get your heads back?
Correct. That would be part of the notification process. Move your cars, move any planters, hedge, anything like that.
Jack, the one thing that I will bring up is, as I went around, so we completed this $100,000 project. I still have a couple of guys that are here. And I've told Russ, I have identified panels like in Celebration that, hey, this one needs to be fixed now. So our guys are here at no cost
To the
you.
district, getting it
They're
done.
working at the Columbia Restaurant right now. We got probably 8 yards of panels pulled up just on Sycamore Street. They've been working a couple days.
And just for the magnitude of savings, because initially, the number we were in the budget for this was based on outside vendors, with 770 something.
772 was if we were to do 1,500 panels for the district.
But that was with an outside vendor.
No, outside vendor was double that. And that was also, they gave a price for time and material because they didn't know what kind of routes they were gonna get into until they open them up.
So to the comments that, hey, squeezing cost savings out of the vendors, that's why we get the competition on this.
Correct. Yeah, and we always want to do that to see an apples to apples and see kind of where everything falls. Where can the district get the best price?
And you can see the majority of our time was spent cutting and cleaning with us.
And,
How deep are we going?
oh,
Deep as we need to go, but not.
yeah,
We don't do like they did with our shadows.
5 years.
What's that?
We want to see the panels broken next 5 years.
I don't think you're gonna see it in the next.
they're going deep enough for that,
15,
but
20.
All right, and my next question, the magnitude of the project. Overall, how many panels do we place? What is our?
so we did, initially when we went through this, it was over 5,000 panels in Celebration that needed to be replaced. However, with that being said, Tom, myself, Carrie and Russ had looked at different things, and what that was literally only the ones that needed to be replaced. So there may be 2 panels here that are trip hazard that need to be replaced, 2 panels in between that maybe they're just cracked, but they're not a trip hazard. These need to be, so we didn't include those. So it's actually more than just the 5,000.
So 5,000 on,
That
5,000
have
ones
to.
that are a hazard. There's
Yes,
an additional number on top of that, that are on top of that.
Absolutely.
And it depends on the degree. You could have a cracked sidewalk that you're like, this. has to
it,
get
yeah,
fixed,
it has to get
so-
fixed.
Yeah, and there's some where we've ground in the pasture below the exposed aggregate and they're starting to crumble.
Correct.
And after 2-3 years, there may be more. you
More.
know,
This
so,
is not a static
yeah, we
number.
can't just say
No.
5,000.
We have a hurricane come through here, that is, we're not-
So-
The trees and all
The
that.
plan, Carrie went and did North Village. He started Main Village, right?
Mhm.
And so the goal would be, as soon as we get midway through this, Carrie's got the next village up and ready to go. Presenting to the board going, okay, here's Main Village, there's 1,200 panels and kind of as we go, so it's real time. Because if he did one now for Main Village in 6 months, 8 months or a year, those numbers are gonna change.
The main village is the most difficult. It's the first village. It's got so many nooks and crannies, so many roads. Where once they got out of that, you started getting more straight roads or, just longer roads. All these little parts and nuances and the roads are tight. That's gonna make it, that's gonna take the longest.
And the
That's gonna
goal,
take the longest.
the goal with this was to minimize disruption to the community, see where we could get your number down. Because if you remember, our initial number, aside from an outside vendor, was 800 and something thousand, right? So we could manage the project. If you remember, we called in another vendor to do Oak Shadow. And it was like almost $80,000 for how long?
It was a lot of panels.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for the vendor to fix, and we've withheld payment from them and everything. So obviously the deal was, or the hope was less disruption to the community all at once, a controlled environment where things are getting fixed as it's getting done, and do it the right way with minimal disruption to the residents.
So one other thing to add to this is most of the trees fine, except for
Sycamores.
I'll start cutting sycamore.
You say they're fine as far as whether or not they'll survive after.
Correct.
Yes,
We-
sycamores will not though.
Sycamores will not. Sycamores are very tall. They will either
Yeah, the,
tell us about it or.
So this is assuming placement of the sidewalk.
This is just sidewalk, but there's not a lot of sycamores.
yeah, there's one area that we'll get to with the sycamores, but they'll,
That's not this year, that would be.
No.
Right.
correct,
Most of that's on Water Street.
yeah. And the sycamores, they'll survive, but one good storm, they're all gonna blow over if we start cutting them.
Or to do North Village first rather than a village.
I mean, yeah,
I'm just saying the greater liability, I think would be a village, that's those travel.
we looked and got all of the list of the claims, whether they were valid claims and went through litigation or where they were dropped. And they're literally everywhere. There's not any focal, yeah, there's no focal area. So what we did is he started on this end and then we'd work our way back.
Okay, and the overall cost of the project.
It's gonna vary by village because again, it depends on how many panels are in there. We can give you a cost a panel.
Your initial estimate, we thought budgets, again, that was based on outside
Yeah.
vendors doing it, was 3 to 5 million over a couple of years.
Yes,
But listen, do the quick math here. You're saying there's 5,000 panels and you're doing around 1,000 for
Hmm.
600,000. I'm looking at $3-4 million.
correct.
Today's done.
Yeah, today's numbers.
So
That's
let's-
right.
Let's summarize. Number one, though, how did we go from 700 to 500? Just drop the scope?
No,
Switching to them.
we,
Well, no, what's the 720? No, you said 772 is what?
that's a number that when we first did this, it was 800 and something thousand that we brought it down. Your other outside vendors were 1.5. I'd have to pull up all of their things. How we settled on 772, I think, was doing 1,500 panels. And then the board didn't want that much disruption to the community at once, and we wanted to see how we could get that number down. So that's how we came. And the way we got it down is we have a 2-yard mix wagon that we can do. Labor cost, we were able to do it with X amount of people, and we said we would use 2 of Celebrations people that are already contracted. And it still leaves Russ 2 guys to still continue grinding and all of that.
So the difference between the 772 that we looked at previous iterations of this and this is just drop of scope.
That's
Just
right.
doing less panels.
That's right.
All right, which means it extends it out instead of 3 or 4 years, going 5 years to do this project.
And we
That's
also.
really the discussion.
No,
Well,
that's
no,
right.
But when we talked about the budget, when we said 700 and whatever,
772.
right, that was before we did the test to figure out how much we would do. Right? So the 38 to 42 weeks, right? They don't work on the weekend.
So that's more realistic.
Correct.
That is what we can do in 1 year.
This is based off
That's
of
the-
data
that's the
that we
big
just did.
I mean, we could go $750,000.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna be able to do it in that.
But when you say it's how much we can do here, that's based on a fixed number of their crew size that they already have established. And construction, what's the fixed variable that it's determined?
Per panel, it's the time period.
But in reference to your question, initially, we had more staff budget.
Yes,
And then when we started the project, we're like, I don't think we need as many guys.
you're right.
We did that with about 6 guys, 2 of us guys and 4 of our laborers.
All right, so to summarize, just so we can bring the audience into this discussion.
Absolutely.
We get sued and it's not thrown out. We have either our insurance company or our courts saying your sidewalks are broken. All right, is there anybody out there that thinks our sidewalks are not broken? Show of hands. Anyone? I've heard this before. So I just want to make completely sure we've all seen the evidence that we've got broken sidewalks. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we need to fix our sidewalks. Because not to do so would be negligent.
That is correct.
especially now that we have identified.
Correct.
That is correct.
All right, so everybody knows publicly that we've got broken sidewalks, we need to fix them. The question to our board is how long we want to do it and at what cost. We have the best cost here. We need to figure out, we want to do this over 3, 4, or 5 years.
And here's the caveat to it, right? If the board said, we're gonna budget $1 million a year, we want you to give us the proposal, do the work. All we're gonna do is bring over more from our field staff. That's all we're gonna do is bring over more people that we have,
Okay.
and we can get X amount of done.
So this isn't a directly scalable operation. There's no top end cap paid.
No,
I just can't manage this many people or the truck can't. keep
No.
up with this.
But there's also,
there's also,
Correct.
there's also to,
correct, if you're
Yeah.
gonna really disrupt one village, if you.
Right.
All this is 1 year.
that's the key right there. How much do you want to disrupt your community? And what's palatable to the board as far as financially? I mean, that's all it comes down to.
And so if we plug this into the budget,
Mhm.
we know what the new numbers are.
Yes. Brenda, can you pull up the spreadsheet or the workbook? 584, 375.
Which workbook?
Our budget workbook.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
We
I was-
haven't seen it, this is like the big reveal.
I was thinking you're in my head. Sorry.
Not the same big reveal as they have on TV.
It's
It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, so if you go to that line, Brenda, at the bottom. Keep going, keep going. Where's it at? Right up there. Change the, nope, yeah, change the 772, 219 to 584, 375.
584, 375.
Yes, ma'am. Now go to the assessment tab.
That's already there. Assessment tab, we're at 15%.
So it brings it down from 20.2 to 15.
Okay,
And then you go from there.
so we raised this year 15% and we start the process of fixing our sidewalks.
Correct.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay.
So this was specific, and the reason we highlighted this, folks, was this is a major driver as far as outside of the normal operational costs. Our normal costs with our contracts, as far as landscaping, pond maintenance, things like that are fixed. We don't have variables in there. We actually have gone through over the past 2 years, since I've been on the board, and renegotiated every one of our vendor contracts and put them, some of them were on kind of a split, paid some fixed price, some reimbursable, put them all to fixed to shift the risk over to the vendors. And we're able to do that without any cost increases from, I mean, we got about 1 to 1.5%. But again, just so
Yeah.
people understand, this is really the first big capital reserve project as far as the past 3 years since I've been on. It's a major initiative to get after some of the, that's why we're highlighting.
Angel, could you drop the whole 584 out and just show us what our budget would increase percentage wise if we didn't have to?
Didn't do anything? Yeah, zero all that out, Brenda.
Hey, could you guys make it a little bigger? I can't see it. Maybe it's just me, but I can't really see it.
Yeah, we can make, hold on,
Well,
let's finish this.
Just go to the asset summary page and make that.
Go to this, yeah. So it goes down to negative 0.8.
Can
Oh,
we
so
make,
we saved money.
Didn't have this product.
Correct.
can we make it a little bigger?
If you're not gonna be able to see it,
Oh, okay.
if it goes any bigger.
Sorry.
So it goes to negative 0.8.
And can you also, with the number in there, 15%, and I realize it's different for every household, but can you give me the top and bottom of, not the percentage, what's the dollar?
Oh, yeah, go back and put it back in, Brenda. There we go.
Percentages are important, but I want to give a relative.
So scroll
How
over.
much more we're actually paying.
There you go.
And that's.
But it's off to the right. Look to the right. Highlight the difference.
Here's
Yeah,
the difference, yep.
there's the dollar difference.
So on your estate homes, which are the biggest homes in Celebration, if we were to adopt a 15% increase, biggest houses in town are gonna get $181 per year. So you're talking roughly 50 cents a day, down to your average house is in the, I'm seeing the $50 to $70 range
Mm-hmm.
per year. So you're talking
Yeah.
roughly,
And lot 380 for everyone out there, lot 380 is, what is it, Carlisle? Yeah, that's Carlisle condominiums.
and that's the increase per condo unit?
Yeah.
Is it $53
Mhm.
per condo unit?
Yeah.
Per month?
No.
No, for the year, for the year. These are all annual that's collected on your tax bill.
So again, it's important here, I want to put this one for everybody in the room. When we talk about percentage increases, yes, it is a double-digit percentage increase that we're talking about. But even on the high end, you're talking about 50 cents a day on your biggest houses.
Those Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that's where we're at. I don't know if you want any more discussion, but if you were to do all of North Village this year, this fiscal year, which roughly starts October 1, which we can get started early. This is what you're looking at. So I don't know if you have any other questions, concerns, or want to look through anything else, but we really did finalize everything in the budget outside of that number.
So one of the things that's been a thorn in my side 2 years after I beat it. And I mentioned it in the last meeting. I completely understand things cost money. But I moved here in 2002. 2004, I started attending CCTV. I watched everyone pat themselves on the back every year because they're being responsible. 0%. 0%.
Can you speak up a little bit?
0% increase every single year. So, nobody in the community, I mean, literally, I was laughed out of one of the meetings. Nobody in the community objected to a 0% increase. And I have to honestly say what we were. Because when we go through difficult times, we have to increase them. All despite the stuff we're trying to fix, would have been pulled out of reserves. Millions would have been in there to handle all this stuff. And it's sad because a 2.5% increase every single year. What do you figure it was over?
It's like 15. I think it came out to be roughly around 15 million
15.
additional.
Okay.
Yeah, from 96 to 21, you had 0 increases.
And so that would have given us a flexibility to fix things every year. If you look at the past budgets, it's $40,000 to fix sidewalks. And you still to this day have people who either on the board or supported board members. It looks great. It looks great. I have a lot of my neighbors, are seniors in my area. 2 of them fell, 1 of them tripped. Luckily, they fell on the grass, they're okay. And I see things uneven all the time. I think our community is about 60%, I want to say over 55, 58, something like that. It's a large. And you see electric scooters on the road. Why are they on the road? Because the side pipes suck. They're just not even. You can't go on. Listen, I didn't join the board to go ahead and screw everybody because I have to pay just like everybody. Okay. But the problem is that we're just talking about sidewalks, right? CCDD is responsible for all the light poles. Luckily, we get reimbursed from insurance companies for our drunk residents who decide to run into them. So we're good there. And we're going to see in the board packet, there is one repair that's starting on one of the boardwalks in Killer Reserve. Eventually, those boardwalks need to get replaced. Not tomorrow, maybe not in the next 4 or 5 years, but they're going to have to get replaced. Those are millions of dollars. Okay. And, you know, there's a budget. When I was on CROA, you cut as much as you could, and everyone said you have to cut. Okay. At one point, you can't operate. We trimmed a lot of stuff over the last 2 years, but there's still stuff that has to get done. Push stuff off. There's not really any other project that we have going this year except sidewalks, okay? Now, I know there's a lot of initiatives and stuff like that we're looking at, nothing's finalized. Because we do have to look at what it's gonna go at cost. So, I mean, that's my piece. You know, one of the things I went ahead and saw for where we should be for a lot of the assessments in each of your homes, it's almost like double. I think it was almost like double.
Yeah.
That up, if you like, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, Brenda, can you save this budget? Are we done talking about the budget for a second? Okay, and pull up, the blue slides that I sent you. Annual assessment. I just want to make sure everyone understands, the cost increased every year. The budget increased every year, but assessments remained flat. So in order to cover those increases in the budget, it was taken out of reserves to be able to keep assessments flat.
This is something I did the other day. I looked at the consumer price index for June 1996, 156.7. And then I looked it up for June of 2024, 314, 175, divided 2, and you get roughly a figure of 2.009. Prices have doubled since 1996. Let's go to the next page, please. And
Next, it's spinning.
Yeah, it's,
okay.
There we go.
All right, so from 1996 to 2021, that's what you paid by bungalow, garden, townhome, cottage, village, and state homes. We had increases in 2022, 2023, and 2024.
These are the historical actions.
Yes.
Now, if we had been using the CPI as the adjustment, show me the next page. What was the slide?
Next.
Like?
There we go.
That's what you have been paying now, 604, 601 for bungalow, 654. Quite a bit higher, okay? We're not there yet. And if you go to the next page.
Next.
Based on what you paid over the 28 years versus what you should have paid, you done a CPI index to find out that there was a difference, a negative difference of $3,281 for bungalows and so on and so forth. What I was just trying to point out is that there was a huge deficit, and that's just in the residential stuff. We're not even looking at the commercial stuff. How much more money we should have accumulated. This would have been the $15 million that Tom was talking about.
If we can talk this.
Okay. The last thing I want to look at
Next.
is when I summarize all the total amount that you paid versus the increase. Yeah, the actual increase only 0.236%. So we really have not.
Well, but I want to pull on this one. And the reason I say that is the people in this room, the 5 of us on the board included, because we all own homes here in town, are the recipients of some unfortunate, I'm gonna say, not decisions I would have made over the past 28 years prior to when we finally did increases in 2022. There were 0 increases in assessments in 28 years in this district. 24. Well, back in 1994. Yeah. So when we came in 22, and I remember the budget meeting well, that, you know, the initial number came out that we were looking at about a 35 or 40% increase, and we ended up taking that down to about 15. Comment I put onto that meeting was, if we do this, we will be back here again over the next year or two, just to get caught up with operational costs. Not for any projects, just to get caught up with what we have to pay for day to day. So when there's comments that, hey, we didn't know this was coming, and I apologize for anybody who wasn't in the meeting ago, but that was absolutely the discussion 2 years ago. We ended up where we were at, where we cut from that budget instead of doing it in 1 year, which I think is the right move. This becomes a multi-year thing. Last year, we got caught up where our assessment just catch up to where our operational expenses are. That's not any reserve projects, that's not any contributions to reserve. That's not big sidewalk things. That was just covering landscaping and staff and things like that. This is the first year we're actually A, able to make a contribution to reserves, and B, to take on any significant projects. When I say significant, some of the stuff we're doing is $20,000, $30,000 next commercial and things like that. This becomes one of the 6-figure rings up instead of time to start tackling these things. I will also say, one of the things, and I know there's a lot of commentary and concern and discussion around the topic. One of the conversations I've had with our legal counsel, and we can't do it this year because we're not ready to do it this year. But if we were to take, Tom brings up a great point. Hey, right now, we're looking at an average sidewalk cost of whatever it was to pay. Take that, and it is a factor of 3 to 4, I think, per linear foot to do a boardwalk. Boardwalks are exponentially more expensive than doing sidewalks. Our boardwalks, we're gonna have assessed over the next year and do an engineering study over some particular areas of those to see where we're at. Some of the boardwalks have been up on 30 years old. We figure out what kind of condition they're in. You start talking about that, now it's $3 to $5 million project over the next 3 years. Now you're tacking on 3 to 4x on top of that. And again, guys, this is just an engagement after that. This is not putting anything to do with it. So one of the considerations I've asked our attorney to look at is if we do take a look at doing a bond in the future, and it's not something we're voting on tonight, but it's something I am concerned with. We residents that are here today are all bearing the brunt of the decisions made over the past 28 years. And now all of us are sitting here saying, why is there no issue? Well, because we finally hit the point where we were going deep into the red, we know. If we were to take something like the boardwalks, if we were to do a bond and put those into the bond as well for anything else we might do, what that now does is it locks us in for amortizing that cost over a 30-year bond. We as a board right now, we have no authority to tell the board 2 years from now, hey, you need to do a CPI increase. We can't do that. Every board's got the right to do whatever increase or not that they feel like. If we were to take some of these projects and put them into a bond and amortize them for 30 years, one, it commits the community to actually fixing things because we spend a lot of time not fixing things. But number two, it prevents the people sitting in the room here today from being the only ones bearing the brunt of the cost for what's going to need to happen over the next 25 years. Now we walk in the community for a 3-year period to be able to say, hey, these major infrastructure projects, not the small stuff, but major things like boardwalks, potentially even sidewalks, could get amortized into some form of a bond. I'm saying that very openly. That could happen the second bond. We really know that. That's something we're having a conversation with the bond council about, and we go through that parallel process. But that's something I want to take a look at because I don't think it's fair that everybody sitting in this room now for 30 years in a row is saying, why are we getting cut?
But so here's one thing too. I sat in seats in the meetings. The management warned the board. Day of reckoning is coming. That's a quote. Day of reckoning is coming. Right? And here we are.
Let's go further on that explanation. Every piece of property in Celebration has been assessed at full value day one, 1990.
Build out budget,
Build up.
correct.
Unlike the homeowners association, where if your house wasn't built, you were paying. You didn't pay until you closed. Okay, so their pool started going up. Okay, we got away for many years in the same budget assessment and never having to pay for any infrastructure in Island Village, which now we have to pay for. We got a lot more costs than we had back there in 1994. Money that they should have set aside, they spent. They use it for what they call asset stabilization. So even though our costs went up, they just took it out of there and kept assessments the same level.
Correct.
Asset stabilization was secret code for taking from reserves to cover all.
It's assessment stabilization.
So assessments.
Nope, that's okay.
And the last thing I would want to say is just and I've heard a lot of comments and I can appreciate it on general things around the community, right? As residents, we just want to know that things are fixed. We are not the homeowners association, so there are a lot of things here that I've heard from comments from folks, and some people I think were just sort of speaking, hey, like this thing's fixed. Other people I think legitimately maybe not sure what we're responsible for versus the homeowner board versus county versus, there's a lot of complexity there. Really the big scope for us of historical infrastructure is a majority of your sidewalks, not all of them, but most of them, your light poles, your ponds, your big main water infrastructure, things like that. So just if you're making comments and observations about other things, the playgrounds, the pools, things like that, I appreciate and understand, particularly from the condos as well. I understand state law. Allison, you've got a law that's increasing condo fees. Whole board is increasing, and again, I'm not saying they're legitimate or not. They're separate budgets, separate organization, and I realize these things are all plugging. And at the end of the day, you as president are saying, "But I'm paying X more out of this entire bucket." Recognize that, and personally, we all, it's actually all in as well. But all we control is the speeds of the telephone. That was the only comments I had. Jack, do you have anything else? No.
Any more regarding the budget?
Yeah, but, well,
Okay.
to summarize.
Okay.
For anyone that thinks that we are spending like crazy, we just showed that without that, project, we're actually spending less on our operations maintenance than we did last year.
Correct.
And for anyone that thinks that there's some sort of boondoggle projects in here, you can go through and there are. I'll show you some things that are missing that we have been asked to do, like additional doggy stations.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that there's probably some areas that need some more doggy stations, and that is not essential and it was not part of our budget.
Correct.
We just have to look at next year. Right, so all of the non-essential items, doggy
I
stations.
didn't realize they're not cheap,
Yeah, not cheap.
No, they're not.
not the ones we get.
Not the one Celebration gets.
Yeah, so there's lots of things we would like to do, but we consider that as a board not essential. So whether it's more aerators to make the ponds a little bit better.
That was another thing.
More doggy station, replacing bollard lights.
Yep.
A new, cleaner for the curb,
That's
Right.
another one.
transformer painting, if we can do that. So
Yep.
there are a lot of things on our list of things to do that I think we all deem as not essential because we realize the gravity of the situation. And so those non-essential items didn't make the budget this year.
They did not.
Well, but and I'm sorry, I do want to throw one other thing in, because I know there's been a lot of questions about our interaction in particular with the county. There are several things that we as a CED do and have done more than the outside that are honestly outside of the scope. We spend about $100,000 a year for street sweeping. That is something responsible for Osceola County. We do not own the roads, we do not maintain them. Our staff will go out there every now and then, if there's a small pothole or whatever, Russ is gonna go out there and just patch it. The way the county, that's sometimes to take a long time.
Sometimes the years county part.
Zero.
They,
And-
right, it's as needed.
Yes.
As
And only
they
in
say.
certain locations.
And it's only on what they consider the main thoroughfares are Celebration Avenue, 117 Bridge, part of Celebration Boulevard, and part of, 417 Bridge in front of the library going out. So basically everything on the enterprise side, nothing within the residential. So I take a look at $100,000 there, and the other one's $250 million we spend in mosquitoes. On top of the fact that we all, as Celebration residents, paying the county's budget for mosquito. You know how much we get out of mosquito spraying from the county over the past 14 years? I'll give you a guess, it's less than $1. We've got 0 services from the county over the past 14 years for mosquito spraying, and we're paying an extra $250,000. So the comments, I went to meet with our county commissioner and senior staff back in November, and I had listed a dozen things. I said, hey, I don't expect all, but I need you to hear me on all of them, we see what we work for. What do you want to guess on how many of those I got resolved? Give you a guess, less than 1. We are still profiting $100,000 a year in this budget to sweep the streets. I struggled just over this budget cycle, looking at to pull that out. But I also realized people want clean streets around the county, and the county's not going to do that. We as a board have tried to go out and encourage politely the county to consider these things. We've been very politely told no. So I would encourage all of you to show of force as much as you do here with the county and say, hey, street sweeping, we're paying $100,000 a year. Mosquitoes, we're paying $250,000 a year. All these other things, which I'm happy to give you a list of those topics. The road paving. The only reason the North Village got any road paving was because this board, actually 4 years ago, the county table said you've never repaved any of the roads. Alleyways is done because those are on us. Every one of the alleyways in town in 25 years has been paved this one time. The first time any roads got paved in Osceola County was 4 months ago. And that was only because
But the sidewalks, Celebration Avenue and East Lawn was paved, but they have not done any of the sidewalks, which
yeah,
do need.
North Village has done, but it wasn't repaved,
Mhm.
Correct. So these are things, again, we have gone back to the county and said, hey, we need some additional help here. And we're trying to do it in a partnership with them, recognize that some of these things aren't responsible, we're not responsible for, we're trying to bring up on behalf of the community. I asked staff to go through and pick the top 25 roads, send them over to the county staff and say, if these are what part staff has identified as the worst 25, in 7 months, I haven't had a response to that email response. Maybe it gets in this year's budget, maybe it doesn't. So I would be happy to talk with anybody after here without going into everything that I talked about. there are certainly things that I think we need to be leaning on the county for as a community to step up to the plate, because we're the biggest bill payer in Osceola.
I'll add one more thing. Don't feel too special in celebration of Mosquito Spring. Every resident that owns a home in Osceola County contributes to Mosquito Spring. They only come out, all of them, only come out once. It's pretty much worthless.
And again, I've contemplated in the budget, canceling our mosquito contract, saving $250,000. What's that gonna do for us as residents? It's gonna be a nightmare, and listen, we could do that, and I can easily look at the community and say, hey, guys, this belongs to Osceola County, everybody go blow up the county song. But what's that really gonna do for us here? Is that really where we wanna go? $250,000, but I don't think that's what we need.
Eaten alive.
Anyway, Ms. Sandra, do you have any more comments?
No, we don't. Yeah, we're gonna take audience. We don't have audience comments.
Yeah, when we started the budget process, I did not want to increase with, I didn't want any new project. I just only wanted to hear from Infomark as to what they thought needed to be done. And it's sidewalks. We're paying out, for these claims, and we can't keep doing that, especially we know it's happening, we know it's a problem we have in town. And I do like the solution of let's do it piecemeal. We're gonna have to do it that way. We don't have the money to do the whole town, and I don't like the idea of disrupting the whole town at one time. So that's my comment regarding the sidewalks. And there are other ways, maybe the next board can cut back on legal fees and engineering fees. They're like 200% of the budget.
Right now,
So,
yeah,
right now.
they're over.
Yeah, they're way over 200%. So look at that, for the next board, and keep them on track with legal and engineering. Doesn't have to be that high.
Any other comments?
No, I'm good.
Got a motion on the budget?
Well, okay, so we need to, first I need a motion on resolution 2024-11, which is adopting your fiscal year 25 budget.
Motion.
What level did we sign?
Yeah, what, but
What are, yeah,
Let's get specific.
Can you put it back up, Brenda?
This is with the 15%.
Correct. You ended on 15% increase, in assessments. Unless we still need to change that.
Unless anybody thinks we need to go, we can go up to what our draft budget was, which was 20 point something percent, and we can go down as far as we want to go.
Yeah, so right now you're at 15%. If you go to 001, Brenda, what's the budget number that they would be approving? Which is dun, dun, dun.
Did you want the total or the contribution to reserves? The 584 number?
No, the total, which is 5.672294.
Correct.
Yes, so
Sorry, remind me, what is our contribution?
Yeah, I wanted to ask this.
oh,
nothing.
no, well, 580.
Yes,
584, 370.
that's what's going into reserves and then
Right back at.
coming right back out to pay for the sidewalks project. So
We are not plussing up for third year, we are not plussing up on any reserves.
that is correct. What you're contributing, what we have lined to go into reserves, essentially would come right back out to do the sidewalk project. So in all, you would not be contributing to reserves this year.
Wait a minute.
But I do have, I'll bring it up during my, oh, you want me to bring it up now?
Well, I think.
Okay,
I think.
So there is for the series. I gotta look it up. So series 2020, I know I'm gonna say it wrong. I think it's one of your bonds.
2021?
What is it? There's 116,000 and change left in that bond account because it's been closed. It's been paid off. This was
Oh, old one, yeah.
it's excess funds, which I have it pulled up. Hold on, just give me 1 second. I need to ask the board, what do you want to do with those funds? Because we need to close that account. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
That's the
assign
default.
them to a project or something like that, but essentially we would want you to put them into reserves. But I wanted to let you know that money,
You said that was 116,000, 160,000.
that's, I'm pulling up, it's 116. 116 and change. Yes, I do need a motion.
Second.
Okay. Okay, well,
This is to roll the 160,000 bond. For the historic bond back.
close that account and put it into reserves. Dave, second was Jack.
I
Oh,
made the motion, Dave second.
okay, Greg, Dave.
Any other questions on that?
I don't have a question on that, but I kind of want to know,
Surgery.
when we, maybe next month.
Jesus.
I kind of want to know where we should be on reserves.
We've got a report that tells us where we're.
I know that, but I wanna have a discussion on that.
All right, let's first.
I'm just saying, I just wanna,
No, I want to get back to that. We've got a motion in a second, just on the 160,000.
Okay, so to be exact, it's $116,510, and it is, it's tied to the former Series 2002 Bond Cap Projects Fund that was closed. How does the board want to proceed with this balance before this account is closed? Once we know where to move the funds, we will transfer the funds per the requested and close this account.
We got a motion in a second. Questions? All in favor? Back to your comment about where are we at on this.
I know there's a reserve report. But I want to have a full explanation. Where we are, where we need to be realistically. It's just that whenever, and like this year, we're doing the sidewalk project. But if you look at the next couple of years, you have more sidewalk projects.
Well, the reality is, we're never going to be making contributions to reserves, at least over the next 3 to 5 years, depending on the pace of the sidewalks, if we stay roughly.
I know.
The successful.
I know, I just
Right.
think we should have that.
And we can go through that, Tom, at the next meeting if you want. I'll walk everyone through where you see your reserves. We just did the exercise with Dave Hume, where you can see exactly what you have in your reserves.
So going back to the budget comment, we can entertain a motion for up to the 20-point-something% all the way down to 0. So it's at the board's discretion, where.
Yeah, you cannot go any higher than what we already did in June. So you can bring it down from the 20%. Now you've brought it down to 15%. If that's where this board wants to keep it, then I would ask for a motion to approve resolution 2024-11. If you are not comfortable, then we need to make some additional changes.
One clarification, if I heard correctly,
Sure.
is that the original budget of 772, is that operationally achievable in the upcoming year?
It's achievable, like I told you before. If the board said, we have $1 million, go do sidewalks, either get a vendor or Infomart, whoever you wanted,
But
yes.
the thing about it, we were doing the budget, we didn't know what was achievable, so we put that number in order to do 1,200, whatever.
Yes.
panels. After you did the exercise, given the resources, what is the maximum you could do in a year? Are you saying it's really the 600 or the 772?
No.
Okay, so I think that's a tough question to answer. The reason is that
7 boards unlimited. We could do the whole 5 million in 1 year.
I understand,
Yeah.
that, but this is
We
where I
would
get
just staff
into
up.
specifics, okay? The test that was done in terms of number of panels was in an area not high traffic, not in front of people's houses, you don't have that. So you had the perfect virgin area to go ahead and do your project with really no interference, okay? Now you're gonna start moving into real streets where people are living. And in the beginning, it's gonna be slow as they start, and they kind of did that, they started ramping up quicker as they went along. But when you have to start getting these areas, the speed is not gonna be as fast as trying to get to spend the 770,000.
But I think Dave's point, it's gonna be slow. So if you talk Main Village as an example, we're saying, the streets are smaller, everything else. Whether we do that this year or whether we do it next year, it's still gonna take X days per panel.
Correct.
Whether we do it this year or next year, we're just gonna
Okay.
scale up the number of people.
But the board always has the ability to go ahead and say, okay, we're gonna spend $560,000 on sidewalks this year. If we get to the end of the year and say, hey, we got another month and a half, we can still keep doing this. The board can always decide to go ahead and move money to reserve. to keep
Correct.
going on that project, and then adjust the budget when we go on to the next phase. It always has that option. We have the option today.
Yeah.
If we wanted to buy a pot of plant, right? we can vote on. So we always had, we're not strained. But
You'd just be taking it out of reserves instead of out of assessment.
correct, and
That is
and I
correct.
would just caution this first year. Even though we think we know everything, might not know everything as we're doing the sidewalk. So I'm being cautious the first year. We might get more aggressive as we go along. We'll see. That's just my thing. And these projects, you know, I go on IT projects. I don't do these projects, but there's always a surprise. There's always something. We're like, oh, here we go. So I just want to be cautious of that.
I'll just say, I will instinctively and philosophically have a problem with slow playing a noted deficiency. Now, like we said, really the solution to that is to spend $4 million this year to do it. And so somewhere in between is the right answer. I get it. To me, I'm not sure I have any more additional information to convince me that 772 isn't the right answer. I haven't seen anything really at that point. I mean, but except for some notional issues with the first year. So I'm not convinced that.
So the short answer is, tagging on to what Tom said, Carrie and I discussed it, Russ. It's just the number of panels, right? That's all. And we would spill into another village to do the 772.
I mean,
Could it be done? Yeah, of course it could.
for me, the decision point, Dave, otherwise I'd be with you on it, is keeping it to 700 and go with that. The only thing that tips it for me is if we find over the next year that we do get into a bond discussion, we do get there, to be able to keep the amount of the assessment level smaller now, to be able to take that larger piece of work from the out years and get it on a 30-year amortization bond. That's what tips it for me for going for a smaller number now, because I can lock in on the larger number
Gonna be able to get it
and
in.
do a 30 year. So.
All right,
We have a motion.
So I make a motion to approve, resolution 2024-11.
I said,
And that's at what?
Is that-
That wouldn't be.
Yeah, what?
That's it. But, oh, Brenda, put that back up. It's 5,672,294, which is a 15% assessment increase.
I'll second that.
Motion by Jack and second by Tom. Any other comments, questions, discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Next is your levying assessments resolution 2024-12.
so moved.
Second.
Second.
Also, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right,
Now you can go back up to your consent agenda and go down.
all right, let's go back up to, so do we need to?
Closed it out or anything?
No, we've already closed the public hearing. We were just, the board was making your decisions.
Got it.
Angel had said, when I was up here, Angel had said during the budget session, she would talk about the site thing.
The Dick's Height isn't in the budget.
That's later, that's.
Yeah.
7, 8.
Yeah,
That's way down in the agenda.
You remember Brad said that you guys had voted to pull it out of reserves, and you said that's not right, I'll explain it.
No, your number wasn't accurate. So, but that has nothing to do with the budget, and that's what we're on right now.
We'll discuss anything we want to talk about excitement on 7H.
Okay.
Consent agenda, motion. Have a second?
Second.
My only question, Dave, on 6D, that was all with your discussion with Jan.
Yeah, that's paper, no, we're excited.
That's just a ratification. So you're good.
All those in favor?
What did you, I'm sorry, could you just repeat what you just?
I had to pull something up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
That's ratification of work. Excited, what we had discussed last meeting about amending their scope.
No,
that's a work.
No, this is just the work order.
Is it for work that's already been done and we
It's-
owe
it's-
them?
It's for work that the board already approved, and this is for, because it's been processed for payment. And it was in my update that I sent out to you all, the 3 work orders we've paid on.
And so that, he's getting it, 90,000 would be the total we will have paid them. what
On
we-
3 work orders.
On.
That is
the
correct.
3 work, okay.
That is
yes, that's what
correct.
I was-
And we haven't actually paid 90 yet.
No, but this will,
No, you have.
Okay, well, I knew we were approving them up to 90, but I realized it was a couple months because of the front end.
Work order 1, 2, and 3. Work order 1 was approved and is being processed now for 5,000. Work order 2 has been approved and processed for 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then the work order 3 is 65,000.
And that's for work already done.
They're in the middle of doing, and I think deliverables or something on work order 3, but it's been done.
We haven't gotten that milestone for end yet, but they will be billing us pretty soon.
Some of it
Yeah.
is done. There's still a couple of outstanding, and then work order 4 will be, it's on your agenda later on down the line.
All right, I got a motion second on the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, business matters. 7A, consideration of qualifications to solicit underwriting. Do you want to take this or Jay?
It'll be Jay. I will say, so at your last meeting, the board, decided not to engage with what we had in the agenda, which is the current bond counsel and underwriters that Celebration has used for many years, and that we've also been using for the last year, getting information. We did staff recommend to the board that you should not go out for RFQ for professional services like that, for a number of reasons, but primarily this is who Celebration as a whole has been using. But the board wanted to go out for RFQ. So Jan, you've never gone out for qualifications. So therefore, that's why you see qualifications in here for board approval.
Can you speak a little, just make sure?
Yeah, our firm represents nearly such as
Correct.
Also professionals. There's two main underwriters. MES is one of them. They're the current provider for the last year. They've been with bond. So some of the items why we recommend with them, it lowers the possibility of errors. We hire new underwriters. So there's potential for errors they have to sponsorship they weren't privy to. As the job, however, new issues can come up. They may provide additional comments to our documents as well as any of their documents to the negotiations as they were in those initial negotiations that had been required in the previous sponsorships, including.
So, are you still going? Oh, I'm sorry. I would just make a recommendation unless the board wants to go through the qualifications. If you are going to engage with underwriting and bond, I would make a recommendation, as we did the last meeting, that you go with Ackerman and MBS, because that is who Celebration has used for a very long time. So if not, then you would need to approve these qualifications for us to be able to send them out.
And again, just for the public's edification,
Mhm.
we're not approving a bond tonight.
No.
We're not approving a bonding agency tonight. This is exactly what we said last meeting was, we were gonna put out an RFQ to figure out the bond underwriter and the bond counsel.
So
This is simply approving the RFQ or discussing the RFQ to go out for approval to then get back competitive quotes.
it is. This board has not voted or approved to issue bonds. Hasn't been done. But in order to even go down this path, you need to engage in bond counsel and adopt certain resolutions, engagement letters. So that way, if they ever decide to go down this road and issue a bond, float a bond, whatever you want to call it, then we can get items reimbursed
So
from the actual bond.
to the comment of the question that came up before, it's a very good question. Hey, you're spending money on big site and other things up front, but you got the bond that's coming after, doesn't it seem like it's backwards? So the answer to that is no, because what this would do, if we were to approve the bond engagement letter, that starts the clock that says anything from that bond engagement letter being signed 60 days before by state law can then be caught back up into the standardized bond schedules, whatever.
It's
it may be.
reimbursable.
It's a reimbursable on the bond. If we don't do this, then that's correct. Any upfront costs that the board may choose to take just becomes things that we pull out of our regular operating budget. So this is even if we were to improve the bond engagement letter we had up last month, that is not approving a $40 million bond. The $40 million numbers saying that is not based on any engineering or any study that has been done. That is a number that is a not to exceed. That once we engage the bond counsel and the bonding underwriter, then we can go in and start doing what whether it's the Dix Heights study or any other engineering studies to figure out what might we want to build within that $40 million. It could be $5 million, it could be $39 million. So we are probably months away, even if we were moving faster than we are now, of ever coming to issue a bond. This is simply a discussion of.
Oh, you're way more than months. You're like a year or so out.
Yes. So just for anybody in the room that feels like we're not being transparent, a bond, the decision on actually signing a bond is still several months away. Or longer. So.
Okay, so that's where you are. Either you want to approve these qualifications and authorize staff to put it out on the street to get qualifications back for your August meeting. Or if you are wanting to approve bond counsel and underwriting, you did see the engagement letters and all of that in your agenda last month. It's not in this one, but you could also go back and approve that if that's what you want to do.
All right, I'm gonna say something that,
Sure.
I'm not comfortable at all.
Okay.
Okay, I don't see Pro reaching out to us to participate in this. I don't get that sense. Pro didn't even attend their own impact meeting. So I don't want us to be the driving force behind this. I don't mind being the banker for this whole thing. Come to us, 100% participation with Pro. I'm willing to sign the bond. But at this point in time, I don't want to be the driving agency. I would move that we suspend any further action.
With everything, Dick's Height, everything, guys. With Dick's Height and everything, is that your motion? Okay, hold on.
Go ahead, guys.
Motion to
Hold on.
stop.
Well, what was his motion?
I'm reading it. Hold
Okay,
on.
sorry. All right.
So the motion that Jack is to stop all work regarding work and expenditures. Okay, work and expenditures
I do have a problem with that.
regarding
Pro
the
participation.
community, I don't know what we're calling, community master plan. I'll just say that. Master plan project.
Angel, let me just ask you procedural questions. The only thing we're spending money on right now is made commitments on our next.
Correct.
So, and Jack, I'm not saying you can't make a motion or not.
Yeah, okay.
The question I'm asking.
Well, hold on, you gotta get a second and then you can, y'all can discuss it. So the motion is to stop all work/expenditures regarding the community master plan project today. So first by Jack, second Cassandra. Okay, now y'all can discuss it.
Well, first of all, when it comes to the bond, I would not go against council's advice and seek other companies. Like, why would I do that if my counsel is telling me that's not typical? And this board has just spent too much money putting good money after bad. That's how I see it. We don't have land, you know. I don't know where we would put all this other stuff that, you know, may come up in this, for this community center. Where would it go? The school board's not giving us any, you know, giving us any property, maybe not give, but they're not going to allow us to buy anything. It's going nowhere. And I wish that PROA had started it all. And then they could have had a conversation with us, come together, you know, maybe provide the money, be the money person. But it hasn't turned out that way. So let's table everything
Not table.
regarding
Not
this.
table.
Well,
Yeah.
stop all expenditure, everything she
Yep.
said.
Yeah. what
Stop
he
all
said.
the money.
What he said.
So I have a lot of questions. So the first question I had was, and I do agree with Jack on empathy. I was disappointed that only 2 board members were. And I know some people had challenges to get there. I think there were 2 board members that had challenges because they were flying Delta. So, you know, that's that. But the other folks didn't. They either could dial in or could have showed they were in town. MCAG has spent a considerable amount of time. These are residents who volunteered their time for about 7 months to go ahead and put this together. And it's not easy. It's got a lot of input with the survey. There's a lot of people here that filled out the survey, right? And it was disappointing that they just, and I know they were disappointed. I know the members were very disappointed that they weren't getting it. I know there was discussion of having a joint meeting to find out where they are. I'm still thinking we should find out. Where they are.
Is that, Angel, is that?
It's not.
No, nothing's confirmed.
No, that's something to discuss. But, you know, I kind of do want to know where their heart is, right?
That's not an expenditure to have a joint meeting.
No, but I do want to know where their heart is because, look, in the beginning of this, we did have the opportunity for the school board land, right? And that hasn't happened. It may happen. We don't know yet, right? And then of course, the only other pieces of land we have available are civic corridor, right? There's a few other parcels, but primarily civic corridor. Civic corridor is the biggest piece, right? I mean, besides the school district land, civic corridor is the biggest piece.
Until Crow wants to contribute that land, make it available to use.
I do. Well, I do want to hear what they have to say at the joint meeting, because I don't know how much we have to say. But I do think it's important to hear what they have to say. You know?
So, and that's not an expenditure. But I think Jack's motion that you all need to discuss is to stop all work / expenditures really regarding the community master plan. It's really not work. So just really should just be expenditures.
Procedural question. So 7A is a non-cost item. That is whether or not we want to send out an RFQ for underwriting services. So if,
That is correct.
in my opinion, that is a no cost. You could send that out. And Sandra, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. If council's sitting here saying you shouldn't switch on underwriters, then you shouldn't switch.
What do we have to discuss right now?
Yeah, you need to let's focus on what we're doing. So the motion,
Well, no, I do have a procedural question though around the motion. Because the business matter that's in front of us is the consideration of qualifications for underwriting service. The only cost we're incurring right now is 7H.
and that's fine, but if he made a motion, there's a second, you guys need to discuss that motion and decide if you're going to pass it or not, which means it's really not work because I think you're more concerned with the expenditures. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So motion to stop all expenditures regarding the community master plan project. That is the motion.
I don't understand.
Okay.
What exactly are we stopping?
Well, the only thing you're currently spending money on right now is you have appraisals out right now that we're spending money on. You have, and then Dick's Height. Those are the two items that you are currently spending money on
But they're
regarding
contract.
the master plan project.
But-
You would have to stop and put a halt on Dick's Height.
Are we talking about not paying them for work that they've already done?
No. He's talking about future, moving from this point on. So
We have no vote in front of us to make any additions. To today's point, anything else we're gonna expend beyond the commitments we've already made are things we haven't voted on yet. So I don't know what we're voting on because we're voting on something that isn't actually being expended.
Yes.
but there is stuff gonna be expended because like work order 4 is coming up. That is for
That's
you
not
all to
something
look at.
The motion is on
Correct. So right now,
If I simply straighten it out, if I move it further back in the.
Yeah, that works.
If
it's
that'll-
up to you.
Let's
Yeah.
move it back.
Yeah, because the only
Just
thing on
move
this
it to
agenda
H.
for you all to approve, which would be, and Dick's Height, we've got to come back next month with a revised scope for the master contract because they've changed that scope. But the only thing on here today, work order 1, 2, and 3, that's done. The board approved it. They've done work on all of those work orders. They have to be paid for it.
And that's my question that I
But-
want to know before next meeting is, even if we put a stop work today, if they're gonna come up and say, well, we've already done the work.
Yeah,
we're
no,
Putting a stop work on something.
it would be from work order 4 on.
Right.
So that's where the motion would come in, well, under H.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
So he's gonna hold it until he gets to that point. Okay,
And
go ahead.
Sorry.
I get it, but we're telling people we want.
I understand. This is the board's.
You had your opportunity at audience comments. You had your opportunity at audience comments. Okay,
Or one member of the community. I appreciate
Look at
it.
this room, they're in the community.
all right, that's enough, guys.
So do we go back to A now?
Yes.
7A and 7B.
Qualifications.
So I'll be consistent and say, I'm always gonna say that we need to go out to bid for anything that we want to
Yep.
spend money on as a board,
Yep.
or any kind of function.
Yep.
We have not worked with, I can't say that actually, I have worked with people, worked in my day job, but as a board, I don't believe it's ever come before us to.
The last bond was Island Village and that was 2021. That was the last time they physically have done work.
How many on this board know these two entities? Ackerman and MBS?
I don't
MBS.
believe I have to know them if my council is familiar with them. Infomark, the management, they have to understand and know.
No, but that.
Yeah.
And that's why you hire lawyers, you know?
You guys were aware of any issues with this bond issue?
Correct. We would look into that. It's just different with professional services as opposed to like landscape. Any of your vendors, it would be different. Professional services, you tend to stick with them. Doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
sympathetic.
Doesn't
It left months, and the question was, have you looked at these vendors, did you bid it out? I think our answer is no, we did.
Well, the other question we had, and I don't know, Jay, if you would, somebody paraphrasing, or somebody made a comment, allegation, whatever, that somebody that was.
That wasn't accurate. It was he had to get his fees, just like attorneys have to get theirs. And if you don't get them in a certain time, they put out a thing going, you're about to be disbarred if you don't get your CEs. That's all it was
Okay, so
from multiple years ago.
Okay, because that was the other thing from the community that drove. it.
Yeah, which was
Your
inaccurate.
comment on competition, so.
Okay, so what do we have to do with
You just
it?
need to make a motion. If you approve these qualifications, then and authorize staff to go out for RFQ, or you want to stick with the others.
If we were to approve it tonight, is it realistic to expect that those qualifications would be back?
By the August meeting? Yes, because it's typically, there's not really a scope. The scope is the same for no matter who we send it to. They're just gonna send you their qualifications.
Or my understanding is that you just go and approve 2 to 3 for each of these scopes of work, and say, we just want to know who you are and what you've done.
I don't even know that there's 3 out there, quite honestly.
Okay, no.
I think there's only 2 primarily.
Whatever the
Yeah.
universe is.
Yeah,
And we would be able to look at those qualifications at the board meeting and select one.
yep, and then you would ask them for engagement.
And Cassandra, I will say I 100% agree with you, because I've had conversations with Jan since the last meeting, and she expressed more forcibly her concerns than what she did in the meeting. Why I'm okay with this at this point is because it's not costing us anything, we're not committing to anything, this is putting an RFQ out in the world. We get 2 responses back, we get 5 responses back, we can get those and throw them all in the garbage, or we can get them and sit here and litigate which one we would want to move forward with. But it's a non-committal process at this point, just to go out and gather more information. In my opinion, I agree with you. I tend to think we're gonna, if we do this, we would end back at MBS. If this makes Dave feel more comfortable, and makes the community feel more comfortable, hey, we've gone through the process, and here are the qualifications, and everybody can look at it and see where it's at. I'm okay with it, even if I'm hearing council say, we're probably gonna end up in the same spot.
Right, I see what you're saying,
Yeah,
and I respect your opinion.
And I just don't
feel
wanna
like-
mitigate, I don't wanna downplay any risk associated with that, so. Yes, I wanna go out and on anything that we do, I wanna go out to bid and look at 3 people and pick one, but. Sometimes there's a risk of doing that, and I wanna make sure council is able to
Tell us that.
tell us what that risk would be.
Are we at risk of MBS pulling out and saying, hey, with the RFQ, then, sorry.
We don't foresee that, they've been providing all this information for the last few months.
Right.
So they found information for all the work done today. So we don't see that. You guys, but.
Motion to go out to RFQ using the scope that's in the agenda and authorizing staff to put it on the street.
Sure, no more than 3. Or less.
Yeah,
Whatever the-
there's not
No
gonna
more than
be,
3.
there's not gonna be 3.
Thank you.
I think you just said. we're gonna-
Second,
I'll second. Any other discussion or comments? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay,
Okay,
All's
oh,
opposed?
yeah.
4 to 1. Sandra,
So
okay,
Hold on, Tom's.
I haven't voted. They always pass me. They go, oh, we're going on.
okay,
Ah, this is gonna be a long ass meeting.
I know.
Um,
Let's go back to the comment period. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip over.
How many votes has?
So,
We're going back, sorry. We were previously pulled the trigger on the votes. Tom Selleck.
so
Oh, I have seen.
this doesn't tie us in, right? We're not moving forward on the bond. This is just to go ahead and get qualifications, right?
It's qualifications for bond counsel and underwriters.
And then it's management that has to go ahead and kind of track all this, right?
Yes.
Check what?
What track?
To go out and get them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Between myself and council.
Can we make it?
No.
They're seriously worried about this.
I've got, sir, I have the floor. I'm trying to. Okay, thank you. We will have it on the owner.
Sir, this is the board's time. There will be public comment again.
Midnight?
If we change my vote. So. I don't have a problem moving forward with this. But I do share similar concerns that Jack does. I mean, we can go through the motions and go through these things. But we're gonna have to circle back later on. You know, and my thing is. I don't wanna waste people's time. Right, if we're putting stuff on hold, we're going out to bond counsel, we're gonna put it out to bid or whatever, to get qualifications and stuff like that. And everybody's doing this, and then we might come back and say, we're gonna pause.
Right.
Until we can get feedback, but we already have all these other things in motion. And I guess my question is, to both of you, is how does that work? Right, I mean, how does that work holistically? If we kind of want to get more information, but we have all these other pieces. Does that make sense?
Are you afraid about the?
Oh, no, I'm not.
I'm not afraid. I'm sorry. Are you questioning the tact on staff to be able to?
It's.
No, it's bringing you, I know what he's saying. I mean, you're not wasting, that's probably a strong word, but going out to have them submit their qualifications, and then if the board puts everything on hold, then now these people have wasted their time submitting RFQs and the board's not gonna make a decision. Or you decide you're not moving forward with it. I mean,
I'm trying to see how all this works together. Right, that's what I'm honestly struggling to see how all that works together. You know, I have no fans in my house because I definitely, you know, listen, again, lived here for a while, I want to see new amenities get built. I do, right? I mean, last time we built a new amenity was the soccer fields, right? Dog park, which, but I'm just trying to understand how it all works together, because right now it's very fuzzy. It is very fuzzy.
And I mean, if you're asking me, in my mind, we are. Most of the things, not all, most of the things we have undertaken so far have been at no cost, where we've engaged school board, CIPCOD, other potential partners. These, in particular, these have cost us our time.
well, there are engineering and legal
Engineering and
fees.
legal.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely, engineering time, I get that.
So we can't just.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
dismissing that at all. Major costs for things like the excitement we're talking about, the total scope being a six-figure thing. That one, I would not disagree, fast forwarding a little bit, if we want to put it on a pause, I have questions just contractually where they're at and what the effect is.
I understand.
But right now, I mean, I look back at the RFQ, all it's gonna do is provide us more information, whether or not we end up using that information or not. I don't know. There are gonna be other things in this process as we go through this. We're gonna continue to get information on things that 6 months from now, we may say, you know what, that was totally useless. We don't know. This is.
Angel, first off, I said yes, I'm not going to say no.
Okay.
And here's my issue, is that based on what we're looking at, going after RP, I don't even think we need to do that. Okay, I'm happy with what we've had before. It's not a problem. 2.
Okay.
They wouldn't be in business.
All right,
Let's see the assessment can go out there, and I think it's a waste of their time.
okay, so
So let's re-energize the motion because we've got to pull it back.
the motion is to go out for RFQ using the scope in the board. You got a first by Dave, second by Greg. Now you can call the vote.
Before we call those, we have comments.
Yeah, and let's, one step after that is that we don't approve this resolution, and then there follow up with another, one that says that we want to work with and single out the exact, Ackerman and MPS as our,
Yeah, you could do that. You can always do that. That information was in the agenda last month. It's not in the agenda now, but you've all seen it.
Yeah.
It was in the agenda.
that would be,
If we go there.
you do it now.
Yeah, you've all seen it. It's just not, I mean, the topic is on this agenda, but those physical papers are not on here. But you all saw it in the agenda last month.
Are you saying to? Resolution?
Yes, Ackerman and MBS.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's the motion they make.
Okay, so the motion that we're gonna start off with is to go out
Just whether or not to do an RFQ.
RFQ for bond counsel and,
Underwriting.
Right.
You can do them both together. They're both go together.
Right, so if we go forward with that, we can approve it, then next meeting, we will have qualifications, and we'll be able to select a bond counsel and an underwriter.
If you
we
choose.
not to do that, then there'd be a follow-up motion to move forward exclusively with MBS and Ackerman, as was proposed last month.
Could do that.
Very good. Any questions? All right.
Do we have?
We're putting it together.
So, well, the motion for RFQ, it's, but they go together.
Yeah.
You're doing bond counsel and that. So if you want to go out to RFQ,
Look, bond counsel, we are not engaging them. You're just saying.
this is purely for an RFQ.
Right, yeah.
To ask
Now,
bond counsel and underwriting for their qualifications for the board to view. We
oh,
would have
that's
them.
what you were saying.
Yeah, we would have them at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
So do I have a motion for consideration of qualifications just for the underwriting services, not the lawyer, that's separately? I have a motion to go out to RFQ on the underwriting services.
So,
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
That one fails. 7B, consideration of qualifications for bond counsel services. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
I'll second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay.
Nay.
I will do.
Oh, you didn't vote?
You did now. Okay, 2-3 on both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. you vote.
Okay.
Now the follow-up motion.
Sandra, Tom. Okay.
So as mentioned before, then we revisit last month's motion to move forward and identify MBS and Ackerman as bond counsel. Can I do that as one motion?
Yes,
Okay, bond counsel and underwriter.
to engage Ackerman and MBS. Do you have that resolution number? Jay? It was
Should be 8.
2024-08.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Angel, or before we make a motion on it, I'm sorry, procedural question, because this was not as a noticed item. Can we bring this back on the agenda right now? I understand it was discussed and it was an item on a previous agenda,
It's a motion like anybody.
You,
unless it's an emergency item.
but no, Jay's telling you can, because we talked about it last month, and it is actually, you're either going for qualifications or you're gonna engage Ackerman and MBS,
Or number 3, we discussed.
or you don't do anything. That is correct. Those are your options.
So I've got a motion to engage.
Engage Ackerman and MBS via resolution 2024-08.
I've got a motion.
That resolution was for the reimbursement.
Correct, through Ackerman.
Yes.
No,
And I'm gonna, just as a comment, I'm gonna simply say I'm gonna vote this down, just because I appreciate the fact that we can.
that's fine. You don't even have a second. It,
Necessarily should right
you
now,
don't
because I
need-
Want this all of a sudden, hey, popped up with something that wasn't on the agenda. And now people are feeling like we're not being transparent.
You didn't get a second.
It failed for a second.
That's why I'm not second.
All right, can we move on?
That motion dies. Item 7C, consideration of resolution 2021 schedule.
Can you do that one and D together?
Yeah, you can do C and D together and we just need to choose which, do we just need 30 days, Brenda? Can we do it at the August meeting?
Yes, I've already advertised those rule hearings to be at the August 27th meeting. So this is just essentially ratifying staff's actions to reschedule that hearing.
I just need a motion.
So 7C is consideration of rescheduling the Royal Commission hearing. 7D is rescheduling the district property rule hearing. I mean, that one is as far as repairs, the property when folks damage it, process.
Correct.
Motion of rescheduling C and D. So
Tom?
motion a second.
Jack.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right.
E, dog stations and island village. We've got a resident request to put in
Yeah.
some that are in addition to what's out there.
Yes.
Give me a second here, I wanna pull up this map.
They're what, 1,100 apiece?
So the questions I recall is not have specific locations, other than just going out Celebration Boulevard, that they're locating basically part of the school, going out the boulevard towards high school.
Yeah.
These red dots.
And they're $1,000 each.
Red dots.
One was Crow. School.
Yeah. The map, the red dots are where there already are, or the new locations.
Red dot, green dots.
What they're asking for.
Red and green are Croa and ours.
That's, they're close.
Yeah.
I don't know why we got dog pots. Or is this, those ponds that we're looking at?
The red are Croas and the green are just,
No,
oh,
opposite.
sorry.
Are those two ponds?
I'm sorry.
There's
There's some around ponds, yes.
They got a black.
I don't understand why we have dog pots all the far into the pond.
So,
You've already got them out there.
well, that's my
Okay.
question. I think there's walkways.
There are,
There's walkways around, that's why.
and people walk their dogs around the ponds,
Yes, they're walking there.
which they shouldn't because alligators may get your dog.
What's the approximate cost of the pump station?
$1,000.
$100 or something like that.
That's fully installed.
Well, your staff's gonna
Staff,
install it,
that's what
so
I'm saying.
the dog station itself is about $1,000,
Okay.
maybe 900, but it's $1,000.
I would make a motion to install 3 dog stations. Roughly, and again, this communication I have with the resident was one kind of at that intersection right at the school at the entrance, get something around there. And then the other 2 going out Celebration Boulevard, going back towards the sun.
And this money is gonna come from reserves, okay?
Okay.
I have.
I don't.
We can get a better map or location on that.
These are not in a great place.
They're already installed.
They're installed.
Not the resident request, those are already there.
That's really not proposed.
The request for the resident doesn't have, she didn't give specific
No.
locations, what she was simply asking was from around here going up. This was simply, I asked staff to put this on there.
Yeah,
We talked about.
so motion to install 3 dog stations,
From the intersection in front of Island Village School going back up to,
intersection of school,
at staff's discretion, I'm not gonna say exact word.
school to high school, right? Greg, do you have a second?
For an amount of reason. So. Any comments, discussion?
Yeah, I don't see how this is consistent with being fiscally responsible after the discussion we just had.
The other thing is, there's a bigger issue here because I know one resident is requesting it, but you know, we spoke, I think it was last year, in front of near Evan, Spring Lake, because a lot of people walk dogs all the way over there. We don't have anything. So this is a much broader, and now when we talk about that, now you're not talking about, you know, you're doubling the cost, right? Because you're looking at these locations. That's what we're kind of tabling, because it's not just this location, it's
There are other places.
there are definitely other places that we're gonna do them. We're gonna do them all. I don't think we're ready.
I would say I had, this was driven by one resident request. I've heard this from others. folks brought up that stuff.
Well, right, but we've heard that from Spring Lake and a couple others, so. I just don't wanna go ahead and just, one homeowner wants it, I get that, and I think there's a need, I'm not saying it's not. There's another apartment complex right across from the high school. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna do this, then you should do all of it, and then that adds to what you were saying. Maybe a project.
Pretty good.
But I'm not positive, to be honest with you, Jack, because a lot of those apartments probably got doggy pots.
Some of them
inside
do.
of them.
Some of them already do, right off.
This from within a while, close down.
Do you think we need any? Have you seen any?
He thinks there's too many as it is.
So, have you seen any people dumping, leaving dog crap out?
I have not seen it myself.
Now we will.
Or any other issues littering and people not taking their bags back to inconvenient spots within Iowa Village?
Not that I'm aware of. I can ask Alvaro.
Yeah, he collects all that stuff.
All right,
So we had a second.
we've got a motion and a second on it. I'll call question. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
So
Yeah,
1 to 4.
You mentioned you wanted to survey, is there something you want to give to staff as far as surveying the rest of town, or do we not want to tackle this right now?
I don't know.
Right, it's fine. 7F, review of district hospital county signage policy. This one actually came to me from the county, for my notes here. This was a resident request on Nash. No parking signs. So the request itself was, I think, pretty straightforward. What kind of uncovered for me as we went back and forth with the county. If you remember about a year ago, we had brought up the PUD and we discussed whether or not we wanted to exercise the authority afforded to us in the PUD for actually doing control of street side parking. Apparently, there's already a policy in place. I was not aware of it happened. I was on the board, but that's already enacted. So that's why the county is coming to us, is because there is a policy that's been in place now for about 6 years. That is driving that coming to us. So my initial question to the county was, hey, we're not traffic engineers. So you guys tell us, if you think there needs to be no parking on one side of the street, which was the request from the resident, they need to come to a recommendation with us. What is in the memorandum of understanding is that the county will not install any new signage, any new fire lanes, anything like that, without bringing it past our board. There's then some discussion about who pays what costs. I'm not saying I agree with or like with, that we need to be in this business at all, but we are in this business right now. Let's choose to change it. So the first discussion here was the overall policy that right now the county is coming to us, and that's what's in 7F of what was approved several years ago. And then a more specific question of what we want to do with Nash Drive. So,
So what's the action item for 7F?
7F is whether or not it's the policy that's in place, it's informational, unless we want to go back to the county and change this. And I had staff bring it up because I don't think any of us were aware this was. I was not. I thought the county was coming.
I wasn't.
First. They are coming to us because there was a draft policy back in about 5 or 6 years ago.
Your action item is G. Do you want to put in no parking signs along Nash?
That,
Well, but 7F is whether or not we want to go back with any recommended changes, requested changes, or just keep the policy exactly as it is. County.
I still to Jack.
Right.
Okay.
And you probably need a workshop to work that out.
Okay.
If you guys want to make changes or go back with recommendations.
Okay. So, do we feel like we need a workshop, or is anybody concerned with this, or do we just want to leave this in place?
Leave it.
So there's no action. I'm sorry, Tom, if you have.
No, and I think because you're involving on that street, every homeowner's car.
Well, not 7G, I want to know what's step with that.
Okay, yeah,
7F.
I would agree.
7F with no action policies, 7G, resident requests for Nash Drive for their parking. I will say, personally, I don't think there's even an action here for us yet, because there's still an outstanding action for the county to
Yes.
come back and say, do they
That's correct.
recommend putting those signs in or not? And that's based on both road engineering and the fire. So until they come back to that, I don't think there's anything for us. That's my recommendation.
yeah, Jim said.
Okay. So
Okay.
table 7G. 7A, consideration of work order number 4, Dick Site Partners.
Now,
Here we go.
That's Jack.
is that your thing?
Suspend
Okay,
any further.
so let's do another motion. Motion to suspend.
Throw up till we
I'm just,
some
yeah,
definite
Ben,
plan
Dom,
to move
yeah.
forward with. Then I don't wanna go any further. I'm being the money bank for them, but I want their participation and their leadership.
So,
So I want to make sure I'm clear. Motion to suspend any further expenditures and work or expenditures on the master plan project.
Have we paid for any work?
Yeah, so we have, so I can tell you exactly where you're at. You've got work order 1, they've done. Work order 2, they've done. Work order 3, they're midway through that, I believe. And they're still working through it. And then this work order is the next one to do. So essentially you're $90,000 in and then you can stop. That's
yeah,
it.
For clarification. In the motion, work order 4 is adding $4,500 specifically so that we can have Nick's Height come in and do the engagement that we're talking about doing with PROA to figure out where PROA's at.
I don't think so.
Yes, no, that's true.
Um,
I think Tom's talking about something.
I-
Yes,
I-
that is correct, but we can still have a joint meeting with CROA to find out where they're at without
It's a question of-
involving Dick's Height.
Nick's Height.
Yeah.
listen, I don't mind having 10 joint meetings. I shouldn't say that. I do have a lot of meetings, but
I feel like we already have.
yeah, but my thing is, you know, we do sit in the joint meetings and we're all looking at each other and we're all talking. Everyone is kind of saying what they're thinking. They're also kind of not saying what they're thinking. And so I do think, you know, even before dragging Dick's Height out there to go and have a meeting, you understand where they are they on the same page or not? I really, this is more of us sitting here listening to what CROA has to say, right? With Impact Air, who did not have any representation from the board that authorized, it, right? So I do want to hear what they have to go ahead and say, because if this is the thing where, listen, we've got a lot of things going on. You know, got to figure out what's going on with the pipeline. We got, you know, we're finishing up the playground, we got some landscaping issues we got to work out. We really don't want to talk about this right now, right? As a board, individuals they might. I'm just saying, as a board, if that's what they're telling us, then we're going to slow down a little bit, right? You know, I'd be very clear. We still have a lot of things in play, but you know, you can have things in play and not know anything, right? So we are waiting for a letter from Disney for the school district, right? So that is important, right? So we're waiting on that. And we'll see if that's a possibility down the line. But we don't know them, right? We don't know, again, where CROA's heart is, right? I mean, listen, I totally respect residents coming out and says it's that, whatever. Impact has done a lot of work, that this thing has been advertised through every channel, as we're doing, we tied in with joint meetings, kind of figure out where we are and stuff. And we've been waiting, we've all been waiting for the impact stuff, right? And we have, oh gosh, well, we have about, I think it's 4,700 unit owners, right? We have almost, it's around 13,000 people live. So we have about 4,700 unit owners, and 20 people showed up. Dave, I think you were one. But you kind of were there for the CCD, not really. You are a unit owner, you know what I mean, right? So we had 19 residents show up. Some Forest, Mergans, whatever the case is, and we had 2 CROA board members come up, and I think one had a legal. Is that right? So, and so that worries me in terms of where we are with all this. I mean, you know, I do think we're going to need a building. We'll fill out surveys, this is what they want. But it's just, how are we going to go ahead and do this? We don't have any land, right? It's number one, we don't have any land, but I don't know where their heart is. If their heart is, no, this is what we're all trying to do, this is what we're working towards. Okay, all right, so this is what we're doing, we're all in agreement, right? But I haven't heard that.
Can I ask a question, just Dave specifically for the rate? 4,500 and exactly what Dick's Heights participation in this joint meeting, we were trying to get us the next step. Yeah. What?
I think it's to find out what Impact's doing.
100% with Tom. We have had now 4 joint meetings with Crow. And at every one of them, we've said the same thing. Want to work, want to help, want to partner, and every time we respect the Crow, we get back.
This meeting is solely to have Dix Height engage and get the results of Impact's surveys, work, all their stuff that they've done.
Yeah, that's the first part of it. The second part of it is to give MPAG their next purpose. So what they're doing is formulating the engagement process plan. And part of what we mentioned in the joint meeting was that what is the follow-on path for MPAG in creating the survey? Is over there. And they were identified as a technical support group. And as the group, that was undefined. So this meeting, the purpose was to get that definition. So as the technical support group, MPEG, you're gonna have these duties that you can divvy it out however you want. You're going to engage community here, you're going to set up these things, you're gonna call these people, you're gonna, whatever it is, that they're the experts. So they're gonna spend, if it's a 2-hour meeting, the first half an hour is going over the survey and making sure they got all the stuff that they need, and then the hour and a half or so at the end is to have a discussion with Pro and MPEG and say, this is how the next
Marching
phase
orders.
should go, this is how you fit into it, so that you are participatory in it and you will.
So I don't question any of that. I totally understand. Okay. Problem I have though is right before that. A little piece before that, we're missing that sliver, and Jack brought it up. So MPAC's original purpose and what PROA authorized them to go and do is in essence complete. They have completed, you know, all the data and everything else, and they're transitioning now to a technical phase, right? But I guess we need to hear from PROA.
I don't know that they are transitioning. That's my key piece. right
Okay,
now.
so
Yeah.
I need
I'm
to
gonna
know,
go from
is
PROA.
PROA supporting their own advisory group or not?
Well, that's the opportunity, is this joint meeting where.
Well, we can have a joint meeting. I just, without the excitement.
If
You can do it for free.
But if the exciting participation is to, your words, task MPAG or say, here's what we think you should do to help furtherance of that joint partnership, that's great. But I have not heard from a single Pro board member out loud saying they have any clue what they want to do with the results of what they got out of MPAG. Now, again, I said 18 months ago, this board can choose to do, just as CROA has chosen to do over 30 years. Due respect, and I don't mean this is slight against CROA, we don't need CROA in the process. If we choose to go out and procure land or find land and do an amenity, as most CBDs do, we are not tied to CROA in that. I think it is absolutely advantageous that we should be doing that and figuring out are there overlaps or the disconnects, or whatever else. But if we walk out of this, well, I think what I'm hearing you propose is this joint meeting with CROA, which is really, before we get MPAG and everybody else through, where's your part? If we find our part is completely out of this, then that's up to the 5 of us to come back and say, what do we want to do? Do we want to continue down this path, which we can do on our own or not? Or what else does CROA need to get their heart into it, or to definitively say one way or the other where they want to go? We've been asking them for 18 months across 4 separate joint meetings. And I've gotten a little bit of a temperature check, but nothing where they've said one word.
Well, let me put it this way, a joint meeting without the excitement would be rudderless. I don't know what we would know, because we don't know, we wouldn't have anything to discuss.
Well, I think you do. I think the question is, given where they are right now, right? Are they committed to executing the master plan? It's not
Or
like
any portion of what.
correct, but I just want to, I mean, again, listen, if I was on an advisory group or a committee, whatever, and I worked, you know, my ass off for 7 months, and pretty much nobody shows up, I know what that means. I know what finger that gave me.
It should be.
That's not fair, right?
That's, we just asked Frola that we don't need a joint.
Well,
for this.
But so
I don't think
here's
that's something we can just put in an email. I think there needs to be a discussion. What's your
the
intent?
problem is that I can call any pro board member. That's not official. Okay, as a board, they need to be able to discuss amongst themselves with us in the room saying,
And with the community.
and the community room, and are you interested or not? And if they're like, they're looking at each other and there's disagreements and stuff. Look, you know. Again, do want to build something, but I don't want to put the community through something that is nothing. Right, I mean, there's gotta be something, and I just, with them, I just. I don't know, they're apprehensive, that they are having, you know. Listen, Dave, I don't wanna stop the process because I know you've done this before, this is the right process to go through. Okay, but this isn't a reflection, I think, of management, anybody, you know, in this room. I just don't.
Yeah, but you're trying to read tea leaves, but who shows up at a meeting?
Well, no, not only that, there's just no sense, we have no commitment for the use of the civic border, that they dedicate any of that property to us. We don't have any property of our own, we don't have the school board property, we don't have anything to go forward.
They would probably tell you this is a chicken and egg scenario. They don't know what to give us. Well, they have a plan and
That's what they have an impact, so they have that scenario.
Well, let me ask, one of the specific deliverables from our last joint meeting about 60 days ago was to have a conversation with CROA, and Dave, I think it was you and Don, and the two legal counsels on would CROA be, what would be the constraints or possibilities of CROA selling, long-term leasing, whatever, anything with the civic corridor, just to see, yeah, not what we're choosing to do, just what's in the art of the possible. Has that progressed anywhere?
I think that has to go before their board. That can't just be the president saying.
The decision at that meeting was, nobody's making a decision on it, but Dave and Don are gonna get together with legal counsel and just figure out, guys, not that we're voting on anything or committing to anything or boards, just from our lawyers getting into the room, what's in the art of the possible? What are the scenarios that you could have? And then bringing that back to both boards and saying, hey, guys, here are the options on the table. Is this palatable to you? If that hasn't happened yet, then I think to the point of, hey, access to land, and if you looked at that, there's still a conversation going on with the school district, and it's moved out awful slower than it should. And we're still waiting on one thing, the one thing they wanted from TCC was.
Wait, who's talking to the school board?
Yeah, I thought that was done. And they said they would not give us the property, you know,
last
we
thing
can't
that
buy it or.
The last thing that the school district came up and said,
I've also.
publicly as a group, was that they were waiting on feedback from TCC as to whether or not TCC was gonna waive the right to sell.
I think, Dave, you had a conversation and that's not what we got back, I thought.
They have not had any other vote as a board.
No, it's staff. The
yeah.
Charmin email that we all got,
Mhm.
which is, hey, we're not ready to move forward
Yeah,
based
it's
on this.
basically
letter.
dead.
And if you got any more information, then.
Yeah.
That is a recommendation from staff. There's been no vote from their board, which
I
would
don't
be
know.
commitment of the board of the board, and I understand.
Yeah, council got a different take as well. So either way, we haven't gotten anything back from
Correct.
TCC.
We need TCC letter back.
Yeah, we have not gotten
And
anything.
we are also still looking at a commercial lot in Bridge Boulevard, if that's an option.
Correct, but whatever whatever the scenario, we are waiting to have CROA tell us something. Right?
What are we waiting for Crow to tell us?
Well, we agreed in joint meetings to the impact to go ahead and work with them, which we have. They do have, they put out the survey, they got the numbers, and they presented that to the community at the end of July, okay? Almost nobody on the Crow board were there. Are they still interested?
I have
They,
talked to every one of the board members individually, and I will tell you, I could not imagine 7 more divergent answers than what I got from the 7 members. So to the question of what are we trying to get from them? Are they able to coalesce around something and partner with us or not? The only thing they've committed to is Dick Site and impact to the extent that we have, marching along this path of helping us as boards figure out what should be built, what can be built, or some net conceptual thoughts. But the bigger question of, are we interested in this from the Crow board? I have not heard an answer.
I would like to know.
Yeah.
I would like to know, and if we meet with them and they say, you know, yes, we are committed, okay, we have a discussion, we can go ahead and have a meeting with Dick Site, do the presentation, work on that. If they go ahead and say, you know, half the people don't show, or we're not sure, or whatever, well, Okay, then we have, then we have to go ahead.
Well,
But
then,
So-
what if we phrase it this way? Okay, we would like to propose we're at a decision point, and we need a joint meeting or a decision on PROA on next steps. Because we are reaching out to partner with them and to jointly get to a master plan that was vociferously put forth by the residents when they went through, I guess, the process last year of the referendum. So, I mean,
Now that they have
that,
Now that they have the results from MPAC, which from what I've heard from most of their board members was the key driver.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to commit to anything until MPAC came out. They have now done that. So I'd say before we engage with Dick's Height to go another step, hey guys, temperature check for me. What do you think of the report? Where's your head at? That's all I'm looking for. And honestly, I think we could fill a 2-hour meeting of us sitting there with popcorn, watching the conversation between the seven of them. Figuring out where
they have to have this conversation, figure out, I mean, it's a conversation with the community, they have to go and figure out.
yeah, but.
So what's our motion? What are we?
but here's-
I don't know.
Well,
Jack has a motion on the floor,
Well-
but we went sideways.
Oh, we did?
Well,
We did.
No,
Oh.
the one piece of information, because I'm the only conduit for communication, and Jared on the pro side doing the conduit of communication. Jared is pushing for this meeting. He wants to know, where are we meeting next week, not when are we gonna meet? So the appointed pro liaison is interested in having a joint meeting with Dick's Height for next step. That's all I can tell you.
And I think the response back, when I would make a motion on the response back from this board is, we are more than happy as a board to have a joint meeting, but before we bring Dick's Height into the conversation, we would like to hear what are your thoughts from what we talked about last time about land that they're willing to sell, donate, whatever, from the civic corridor, or anything else that we have put out every idea I think we possibly imagine in front of them, and we've gotten feedback on zero.
I agree.
That's
I'm
important.
gonna qualify your thoughts as if your collective thoughts, all of them. I wanna know what the sense of the board is. I don't.
Yeah.
okay, can we go one piece at a time? So the motion from Jack was motion to suspend any further expenditures or work on the master planning project.
That's simply.
So that's Jack, second by Cassandra.
And-
So
and-
you would need to call that vote, and then we'll move to the CROA joint meeting next.
Okay,
And,
I'm sorry.
but I have a question. So when we say all that work, that includes money going to Dick's Height, right?
Except for what we already
Except what
owe
we
them.
already owe.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can't,
that's
you
what I'm
can't go
saying.
back on that.
Right, yeah, I know we owe,
Yeah.
yep,
That's
we don't
right.
go past
Just
3,
stop.
That's right.
right.
Are there any other expenditures that are on contract right now? That's 7H right now is just Dick's Height, but Jack's widening that to other things. Is there-
Right now, you're in the midst, I think this motion, correct me if I'm wrong, is moving forward.
Mhm.
So everything you already have in play, I think you let play out, because you've got some appraisals, you've got appraisals
Yeah.
that you're gonna be getting, and that kind of stuff. You let that kind of play out as informational.
This is voting down the 7H motion and basically.
7H and anything else,
Mhm.
Well,
until you come back together, Yeah. essentially.
So we got a motion on 7H by Jack, we got a second by Cassandra.
Yes.
So let me also just explain the process of where we are and what it was going to progress to, which is this upcoming joint meeting, like I said, was going to go over data that MPEG and CROA has, and then come up with a plan for how CROA and MPEG would execute a community engagement. So part of the master planning process is to ensure you have the most data points as possible on input from the residents, users, stakeholders, whatever you want to call them. And so at the end of the community engagement, if you say there's 12,000 people that live here, you have 12,000 data points. That's 100% participation. That's what the plan would get to. That's what Dick's Height would lay out and show MPEG and PRO and how they would. That is the next step in the process. And once you have all those data points, then Dick's Height has what it needs to put together a master plan.
Okay,
Got a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor? Any opposed, opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Approval.
okay. You voted? Everybody voted?
Yes, I finally voted,
Okay.
and you didn't pay attention.
And I wasn't, I was trying to keep up and I couldn't.
I know.
No, I celebrate.
Hold, hold,
Second,
Sorry.
do you want to schedule now a joint meeting with CROA? Because we have to have
Yeah.
time to advertise, so I would need a date from all of you. What we originally wrote back to Jared, who reached out, was start at the week of August 14th, which would give us plenty of time, or August 12th, whatever that number is, to give us enough time to advertise as a meeting in case there was any actions in that meeting that this board would have to vote on.
I'll be out of town Tuesday, that's Wednesday.
Brenda, what's the soonest we could have that meeting?
The week, I'm sorry, what's the week of?
Hold on.
12th of August.
I'm good with 12.
If I advertise in the Gazette, I can get an ad in to be published next Thursday, so the soonest would be the Thursday after that. Otherwise, I can use the Sentinel, pay a little more money and get a meeting.
What's the date of the next Thursday after this coming Thursday?
So that would be the 15th of August.
Okay.
You're gonna call first, find out.
Yeah, I already gave them that week to kind of as a tentative week to look at. So anytime from August 15th on, we could have that joint meeting.
Well, the week of the 9th.
Is it a workshop?
It would be a meeting just in case you all, if there was actions in that meeting that we needed to vote on, because if I do it as a workshop, you all can't
Yeah,
vote on
I
anything.
can't- I won't be in town.
Okay.
15th. That whole.
The 15th.
What about the week?
What about the week of the night?
I'm available.
All the week of the night.
Bill, Tuesday,
Yes.
Thursday,
I'll be
I
available
don't like
week of the
Tuesday.
19th.
Thursday. 22nd.
Any day that we talk about any day.
22nd. Thursday, the 22nd.
At 6 p.m.?
Can we give you one alternative just in case?
Sure. I got August 22nd at 6 p.m. What's another one?
Well, it sounds like there's no other day that we can handle. Is that correct? Jack,
Oh.
you want to do Tuesday, Thursday?
Yeah, but we got a meeting, we got a meeting on the 27th already.
Right.
Yeah. Can anybody else do the 20th? Jack?
I'm available all week.
I can do the 20th.
Yes.
I did.
You can do the 20th, Cassandra, Dave?
No, I'm at the double look up, so.
Okay, so 22nd, and then we would roll it next week, so you're 26th. Their meeting is the 28th, so we could do that, so it have to be.
I need to.
Can't do-
That's Friday.
Here, just say
I'm
it's
available 29th.
available.
So it's looking like the 22nd to be able to get this entire board in a room with that.
Could you, I'm sorry, backing up, all of them. Could we do the 15th or the 16th, Thursday, and Friday?
No.
2 weeks from now?
Now I'm available on the 15th, 16th. But Sandra's not available that 15th.
15th is great.
And then maybe. We may be able to remote participation for you all. Cassandra, could you do it remotely on the 15th or you can't at all?
I'll be out of town. I just don't know. Like,
Okay.
it would be,
Yeah.
maybe for a part, you know?
I want to make sure you can do
Yeah.
it, if you can do it.
I don't really
How
know.
about the 23rd?
I'm fine on the 23rd.
Yeah, 24.
On that.
Back it up to the 23rd.
So you want to do August 22nd or August 23rd? That gives them 2 dates to choose from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So we'll do the 22nd or the 23rd at 6 p.m.
And if you can make clear that. Try to be as concise here. The intent of this is amending this from what I guess Jared was initially asking for. This is to get feedback from CROA as to what their feelings are now that they have gotten back information from them. Is that fair?
I think it's fair.
So
Yeah.
feedback from CROA on where you are regarding,
That's a strategic discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that they've gotten feedback from Impact, what is their feeling of, do they want to move forward or not? This is not any specific discussion about any particular project.
Right.
This is, do you feel like results of Impact, there's appetite for your board
to move forward with the project,
with anything?
with any, okay, move forward. Okay, okay. I will put that in my email.
So there's no confusion, because I know last time there was consternation there and it didn't have an agenda. Does anybody want to put any slides or anything together, or this is just a discussion?
That's that's the agenda.
Okay, no, no,
Yeah.
they were looking for a
Yeah.
one thing, this is one
Okay.
item. Yeah, you guys.
Dave will obviously be copied on my email to Lauren
Okay.
asking this question. So,
Can I make an agenda suggestion?
Hmm.
All the other crap we're gonna talk to, nobody cares about. But they said probably, I don't know, if we wanna give them an opportunity to speak now that we've kind of run the process of a lot of the talking points that they were concerned about.
Who?
The public,
Oh,
You're asking if we want to move up. public
move over
comments.
public comments now.
oh, yeah, that's up to you all as a board. Doesn't,
I'm fine with that, and we've got, well, if you say black.
we can actually table the rest of the
Yeah,
agenda.
can we
I'm just-
table the rest
I mean-
after the public comment?
We realistically could.
Right. It's
Can-
not-
Could I get a motion on Tom's article for the celebration?
Yeah,
news?
the article.
I mean, I would like to get,
Of the article.
I'd like to get Jake on.
I'd like to do that, too. Those are no break.
Which one?
Jake
Paul.
Oh, Jake, all
So
over.
is anybody averse to moving up public comments now? All right, so we'll open up for public comments, for anything in the room, for anything on the agenda.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna speak, I'm standing up.
What else?
I think
It's not really working, so if you just want to yell.
my name is Paul Badley, I'm 1321 Artisan Avenue tonight. I want to first thank the board members tonight who put agendas aside, looked at the whole community, and did what I thought, obviously, correct. Appreciate that. Second thing I want to say is, you guys are saying poor mouth, you know, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that, yet you're still interested in building a building that you really think is maybe legally under your umbrella. But I don't really think it is under your umbrella. I think of Crowa. I will accept that Crowa has got to get their act together. There's no doubt about that, and we are working on that. Jared is out of town, Donald's out of town. That was part of the problem with people not showing up. Hopefully, I know Jared will be back Friday. So to get together with you. Other than that, keep up the good work. I will say this. I totally agree. We need money for infrastructure. There's no doubt about that. And I would support that 100% if it's done the way it should be done. But keep the numbers low so you don't scare everybody. Run the time. As for the 15%, I would support maybe 15% for the next 3 years till we get it done.
I'll write that down.
I'll write it down. I'll put it in writing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This, you guys run an outstanding, if not long, meeting. Thank you.
Robert Say, 516, Long Meadow Street. But completely agree with Paul. There's a couple of points though that I want to kind of throw out there for you guys. You had a discussion about dog park bins $1,000 ago. You thought about asking the community if they want to sponsor them. We've got a dog park committee that we both attend the dog park. There's $16,000 in the dog park committee kitty that we can't seem to spend on things.
They won't let it.
And so if there's things like dog park bins, can we donate them to you guys?
Absolutely.
No, but
If
I mean-
if I can get the Crow board to allow me to do that, you would accept that?
And
We have to discuss it with legal.
Let me ask a question this way, just legally. If Crowa were to donate hypothetically dog stations, or if Crowa were to install them on our land.
So if Crow was to install them on our property, they can't do that. Okay.
I don't.
Because that's a yes, as long as the board
It's
says
better off giving you the dog park stations and then letting Russ
install them.
because then they're done.
Yeah.
If
We can work through it with legal because there is some paperwork we would have to do.
I will accept it.
And that kind of goes, if you guys on the board can think about, if there's other things like the board, as a community, there's various, plenty of money. It's a ways that we can donate money for maintaining these things or give kind of charitable gestures
to you guys for facilities, to try and cut costs out. And is there a way of coming up with solutions like, for instance, footpaths? You know, I don't know whether you guys have thought about, we donate 4 panels in front of our house. We give you the money, you replace them, $2,400. I don't know, it's just, I think we're kind of in that position now where we've got to think out of the box a little bit. You guys need money, and it's not hundreds of thousands, it's millions.
And a general question, do we need we don't need to resolve it tonight, do we need a donation policy, or is this something that as a government board we can accept
It's,
as one off?
no, you can't. We have to have a separate conversation with legal and what that calls, because we can't, as a district and a government entity, you just can't open your hands and go, here, give it to me. We can't do that. So, but there are ways to get it done, to answer your question.
And that's what I'm kind of
Yeah.
thinking is that if there's lampposts that need replacing, or, I don't know, other facilities that you guys have got, is there a way that we can promote to the community to say, look, guys, we need to do this stretch of footpath. We need to raise $15,000 to do it.
Then how do we do that?
How do we do that, and how do we help?
Yeah, we could have a general conversation, just as donation in general, does that mean a specific project, just how would we?
Yeah,
So, first of all, I do have to apologize to everybody that's been here this long. Fortunately, as a CCDD, this is the only time that we talk about these things. That's why our meetings are long. We don't visit each other's houses and have all.
We don't email each other every day.
No, this is where we have to do it. That's why the conversations are long, because there is a, we're not the pro.
Our lawyers smiling.
I think Crow sabotaged your system here before you guys came.
That I think.
Hope
you know,
not.
It works so far.
We're gonna get a new system, that's coming up, that's something, so.
Do we have any other?
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I know, I just want to thank you. It's easier to solve because it's not your project. Right? It's a cross project.
But it's a community project, it means we need to get behind this.
Yeah, but you to be involved because you can issue a bond, they can launch it. Right?
Well, that's why we need the bank.
Yes, and totally fine, but they usually sign first before you guys start.
Well, to be clear, we could be the bank for us, and I bond something for Crow, because that question has come up, so we're gonna be
Correct.
clear.
That is correct.
We could not bond or repair a lease one without Crow actually turning over. So we can't give public bond money to the private market. So
There's just a lot of rules around.
And then
Okay.
the other thing, I face this every day. I see it, right? Don't have money. We do prioritization. Really, details are really important. How many pennies you have to replace, right? I have to go there. Check on site, really needs to be done this job. Right, because I have a little space, I don't need to take the whole field, right?
Right. Our staff did the sidewalk in here. Wants every inch of sidewalk to figure out how many panels we have that year, so that is, decided on the board.
Yeah.
Before that, Russ was out.
Way before that.
And really important, right? So I totally fine to support that because otherwise we have engagements in it. The other thing, I think that's it. I was looking the blue presentation there. We have houses with values really high compared to other ones, but how much they pay, it's not the same.
No.
Right?
A lot.
A lot. Commercial is square footage.
Not the value.
No.
Yeah, that's the issue, because they pay very little compared to the other ones.
So the commercial, some of the commercial pieces, it looks like they're paying less, but they're practically different. They actually end up paying
Square
a
footage.
lot.
Yeah.
These are basis for
Okay.
that residential is paid.
Yeah, I don't know if there is any.
Still
Right?
We need to,
It's
we're never gonna get through this.
it's hard, right? You're not with.
Yeah. Is there any other public comments before we move on to the agenda? Okay,
We made this,
Can you come up just in front of
we made the, they made a couple of motions to get the date on the next meeting with, for the 22nd, whatever that was. But the thing is that the MCAT, they said that they're gonna get the final presentation on the 31st. So why are we discussing something and judging Crow's willingness to talk to you? Well, they have the information.
So let me ask you a question.
That's a good
Dave.
question.
That's a good point. So Dave,
I don't know.
I'm curious with that, and that's a great data point. What was the intention of Jared coming up with the meeting with us in Dix Heights before they had the final presentation from that package? Because I know they had kind of a pre-release meeting here a week or two ago. Is there anything different that's coming out?
That's a Saturday.
Final presentation, obviously.
Well, I had August 30th, but maybe, but from the meeting, but what that was in order to have a full rundown of the survey data. So it was all data compilation, is my understanding. But Crow did not respond to me that they wanted to hold off any joint meetings, especially with the Dix Height till afterwards. They're the ones that wanted it actually next week. So we were responding to,
You're talking to the entire board.
I only have one point of contact.
Okay, but that's not-
That's the only, that's.
No, I'm not-
what allowed us to-
Which Jared has been appointed by the board to be the representative, presumably communicate about the same.
Let them get all the information first.
That's what they're doing. That's what we voted. They voted to do. All right,
All right, closing public comments? I mean, I didn't know if they're asking online, but
I don't think they can hear. If you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Brenda, you've been looking online?
Yes, sir. No one is raising their hand.
Okay,
Item 7I, celebration news articles. Have a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7J, proposals for property in the district office. Angel, you want to take this one?
So you saw 2 proposals last time. Again, it's not detrimental whether the board approves it or not. The carpets are in bad shape. They're since the original build of the building. Though for whatever reason, the second one did not make it into this agenda, or the second vendor. You have 2 proposals, but it's one's for the conference room and one's for the other half of the building. This one is the cheaper one. How we manage that, I'm really not sure. The other one, I believe it was about a $500 to $1,000 difference between this one and the other one. The third vendor never showed up to give us an additional. We were trying to get 3. And that is basically, that's it.
Say in bad shape. What's that?
They're just stained. That's what I mean.
We have done mold tests because of the roof, so there's no indication of mold or health hazard on these. These are
No,
they're just not.
they're just,
the end of their useful life.
yeah, they're just stained and they're 20 whatever years old. That's all it is.
So do we have?
However old, whenever they built the building, whenever that was.
Do we have a motion on 7J?
Yes.
Is that the cheaper one?
Yeah, so I asked them to break it up in case the board wanted to just do the conference room and the entryway hallway, and then we'd hold off on doing the offices if you wanted to break it up like that. It's up to you. That's why I asked for 2 separate.
Can I get a clarification on something?
Sure.
So on the agenda item is, proposal for carpeting. And it says take up glue down carpet. We're not talking about carpet. We're talking about
No, it's
vinyl floor.
it's the vinyl flooring that runs down the hallway. So they're gonna rip up
Okay,
the carpet.
I just wanted.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was.
Yes,
that's what it was. I didn't want
The second one is the all inclusive one, is that correct?
correct.
I mean, I moved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Is there anything we would potentially be doing with, or do we know yet, which would impact part, are we tearing the roofs apart, or do we know?
So, in the update I sent you all, they came out, the engineer, they did several tests and everything, but we're not gonna have his report back for, what do you say, 8 weeks?
You just don't.
I think they're gonna wait,
Yeah.
he emailed.
Again, end of next week, we would have Webb's, report, but we wouldn't do anything with the flooring until we got his report and see what that means.
I would suggest, my vote no, it's not gonna be that I don't think we need carpeting, but I would like to see first. A, because we don't know if we're gonna have to tear anything up on the roof. B, I don't know how much it's cost.
Yeah, we're not gonna, even though you approve it tonight, we're not gonna move forward until we know definitively what that looks like for the roof. I wouldn't want to approve, put in new flooring and then all of a sudden we're doing some crazy thing with the roof. So we would just put it on hold if that comes the case.
Just say.
I-
I don't
I don't-
approve something and all.
I don't care what you do.
Gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
Bring it up later.
I do not care what you do.
Yeah.
I vote the table. Well, we got-
You don't need a
we got
vote for
motion and
that.
second. Now it's
Oh.
83. All those in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay.
Nay. Okay, do I have a separate motion?
So 2, 3 failed. I mean,
Yeah.
3, 2.
We'll table it for now until
Do we have any
we have
motions
more
on it?
information.
You don't need a, you don't need a
We don't
motion to
need-
table.
oh, Okay,
Just in case anybody wants to put anything else up.
okay.
7K, proposal from Complete IT for conference room audio system.
So there's 2 proposals from Complete IT. I called 6 audio visual tech companies. This one came from Tampa to give us a proposal. They did not think you needed all that stuff that the CROA people said you did. He goes, you're not that high tech. You don't need all of that.
Right.
You're not having meetings in huge ballrooms, like you don't need this. So they did a proposal with some of the existing stuff we have. And just making it nice and neat, doing a sound bar under the TV, doing some drop speaker microphones from the ceiling to where you don't even have to do all of the stuff that I guess the tech committee or somebody was proposing. So that's for the audio visual. Like I said, they were the only ones that would come for the job that we needed a proposal for.
14,000.
Yes, the second proposal is the whole camera system and server for the office. Apparently, we're not in compliance because there's this Chinese thing going on. I'm not a tech person, so
Chinese infrastructure side,
correct.
which is very much not a good thing.
Exactly, and that's what your second proposal is to get all of that.
And I play federal government land in my day job, at a state level, have requirement, like, are we mandated to get Chinese IT equipment or IT infrastructure? I don't even know if this is not for us, or not.
It's not, to my knowledge,
It's not an option.
it's not an option to leave it.
Oh.
Correct.
You know, it's not optional leave. We've got to
Yeah.
Okay.
So again,
run over the Homeland Security on all.
yeah.
Yeah, this is all the stuff that you're about to do.
But again, this is the only company out of 6 that I reached out to that actually came physically to the office, looked at everything, did mapping, looked at the system itself, and gave an accurate, a more accurate proposal. If you want, I can continue to try and get somebody in here, but this is the only one that I got to respond.
Let's take this one at a time. 7K proposal for the conference room audio business. Motion. Second. I'll second. My comments here is, and I realize it's not a budget item, but as we talk about having transparency in meetings, can't even have transparency in meetings when our daily.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so
Let your
So
comment.
my question is this mobile, when we need to come here?
No,
No, it's not.
it's not gonna be mobile.
We're reliant here on Pro.
Yeah,
but at least when we're in our own room, we've had our.
Yeah.
in our own room.
your own room. I will tell you, they came in, tested everything and did some different hookups and everything, so.
Never mind, I can't. Trip out. So that.
Now we will, thanks.
Now-
I know.
I know what I'm doing out there.
Right, all right.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7L, proposal for camera system. 95 and 7.
No, yeah, 2 numbers.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What's the difference?
Hold on, I got the look.
Option 2. you're talking about?
Yeah.
We was talking about the days and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Option 1 also.
Number of cameras, Jack.
Yeah,
Option 1 is replacing current layout of cameras with the slide 128.
is adding.
Page 125, 125, which each one is cameras exactly the same today. 128 is adding more. What was the difference for adding?
Because some of them, there just wasn't anything, like when you walk in the front door, the camera is only pointing one way, it's not pointing the other way, so it doesn't get your whole hallway. It stops at that halfway point. Also, in the hallway going out to the garage or the shop, there's only one camera, and again, it's not pointing the other way, so you
Yeah.
can't see both directions. And then outside, the ones you see on the building, there's one in the shop that really only points to one direction. It doesn't cover the other. It's been this long and you haven't had them, so if you don't want the additional cameras, that's fine. It's literally just added security. That's all it is.
We don't have complete coverage.
You don't
But
right
there-
now.
But there is, I think it's a combination of security, but also work safety. So if anything happens, you are not gonna see certain things. that-
Correct.
I think it's incumbent on us to have 360 that area.
I agree.
Alright, motion. Hearing option.
19,585.95.
You're one for every.
And we're paying.
No holes.
Move for option two. Got a motion, just a second, like, option.
And that comes out of which line item?
Reserves.
Oh,
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Bring up for manager goals and objectives.
So goals and objectives, if you see there, you've heard us talk about it. It's statute. We have to basically post on the website, and the first time it's posted, it has to be posted by December of 25 to our website. So we'll start doing it in the fiscal year 25. So basically, it's everything that you have to do to keep compliance, right? We hold X amount of meetings, we advertise those meetings, we do the budget, we do all of these things. That's all that is, but we physically have to put it to paper now.
Besides this.
That's it.
Bill that just got passed.
Yes.
You're correctly compliant with passed.
That's it. And all I need you to do is approve it, and this is what we're gonna use. And you have to physically check the box as we do it. It gets posted on the website, we sign off on it, you sign off on it, and all is good.
Have a motion for it. Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'm sorry, Pete, you have anything else?
No, I do not. I sent you all my update. There were 2 items that Dave asked about that were not on my update. Well, one was in the agenda that he asked about. The other one was, you all had asked for the GIS map so we could replace the one in the conference room
Yes.
with an actual nice map. Mark is working with the county with their GIS, section and to get that done. So it is in progress. It's being worked on. It's just not complete yet. The other was, sitting with the county to develop the Halloween plan.
And how much will that involve? I know, like all of phase 2.
We want to cover up into what they're currently built out.
Everything platted.
Yeah, everything that's platted.
Platted all the way before? No.
No, but we want to cover everything that's platted on this map.
Good question. They're about to plat, well, at the end of the year, they'll plat 2.
Yeah. We'll have to continue to get it updated, but at least this will cover the majority of Celebration and Island Village. And then we'll have to get it updated as they get more platted, but it'll cover everything that's currently platted.
Then we can put a soft copy. of the
Yeah.
page in there.
Mhm.
Can you give that update about the website so we don't have that restriction anymore?
Oh, so currently before when all the ADA stuff started, you all went to just the agenda page because Campus Suite only allowed, I think it was 1,500 pages a year. After 1,500 pages, they would charge you, I think it was $1.09 a page to put on the website. Right now, there is no page limit, so we go to the full agendas and we can put a folder on there for financials and a folder on there for resolutions, minutes, whatever.
And we can also put it on the web page.
No, you cannot.
Of course.
It's still ADA compliance. I'm just telling you, Campus Suite, the third-party ADA vendor does not do page counts, charging you. So now we can put information on there. You still cannot put videos.
So great going forward. Not saying we need to do it tomorrow, but how far back can we go with agendas? Time?
No, let's just keep it to the fiscal year. And then, but what you will have on your SharePoint that all of you should have gotten an email today from Jake Golden is Brenda has already started moving stuff into that SharePoint and we're going to continue moving stuff over. So we'll go back there, and obviously for any residents who ever want anything, all you have to do is call and we'll send out anything. But I wouldn't say for agendas, but I would think you'd want like maybe financials, resolutions maybe on the website, stuff like that, but I wouldn't think, you don't need agendas.
Some of the government stuff we have for the street park stuff, it'd be nice if that, all that there.
All our
you can
policy.
Yeah, you'll have policy, you can put that kind of stuff on the website. I mean, I wouldn't go super crazy, but but in your SharePoint, you'll obviously have that.
I would have to get at least the past 12 months, realize not.
Yeah, fiscal year of
Not
20,
the past 12 years, but get it
Yeah.
to, say, beginning of 2023.
yeah, I'll talk to them and see. I just don't want to raise any flags and them go, whoa, you're wanting to go back to God's country and we're gonna charge you.
That's one stuff.
Yeah,
Which some of that stuff probably.
Yeah. absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
okay, any other things for me?
I don't have anything.
Sorry, take care.
Wow, see, I got out of some
Yeah.
unscathed.
Steel manager.
You'll be seeing my update again.
Trust me, guys.
Got nothing
Dude,
in the agenda.
It's all in the agenda.
Look at that.
Yeah.
How we doing?
Yeah, now the meeting's in the real.
Very great, very great. They're flushing out a lot of.
We just had a meeting with the pond company on Wednesday? No, yeah,
Yes,
Wednesday,
Right.
Friday.
Friday, sorry.
you know, we had another meeting on Wednesday. We had a lot of meetings.
Yeah, we did. So we are working on it. They're aware of what's going on out there and they're actually working on an action plan with some other additional things that we asked for some resolution on, just some ideas, not things they weren't doing, but how can we be better?
Do you
So-
feel these are additional at-cost treatments, or do we feel right now that these are things that they can do with our contract, they just need the time to, these ponds take time in order. for-
Yeah, they take time. They've been treating them, they do it, but sometimes it takes time for the algae to die off. But there's some additional things that we asked for, like
Dana's.
Hannah's like weeding them, like heavily getting the weeds out where, and then the grass is up to the shoreline where typically it just goes because they have to hand pull it. You can't spray, but they've offered some good resolutions that Cross Creek is willing to work with us to get some of this stuff
And we're also taking.
resolved.
They're also taking advantage of adding additional plants and bushes along the edges. That's part of the contract. It's not extra, it's.
Yeah, so there's some things and they're working on them. They know the ones that have the algae outbreaks and stuff, and they have been treated, but it takes a minute for it to die and dissipate. But yeah,
But the stuff right on the shoreline in a prominent spot, just rake it out.
Right, now.
oh yeah, that we talked about. They're removing it.
They explained also that some of the stuff, and there's one on, in Roseville Corner. Where the stuff just gets loose and it just floats to the top.
Mhm.
So when you see this island, it's just floated, they just need to.
Well, and just a reminder.
It's floating
I
grass.
want to make sure you guys remember this as well. Last summer, we did approve. Want to say it was $2,500, the number in my mind, if there was a mechanical removal, somebody would just go out and actually.
No, correct.
scrape the pond.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to wait for a board meeting to do that.
No, we'll
If
do
you
that.
guys as staff would say,
Yeah.
"Oh, just-
No, we,
just
yeah,
we'll
make
do
it
that.
happen."
Hmm.
we
So
haven't
no,
seen
it's a
that
very
yet.
productive meeting and they're willing to work with us and resolve stuff fairly quick. I mean, he came in on a Friday.
We
and I
even
think
stopped
met
at
at
North
10
Village.
o'clock. Yeah,
I was against it, but we did.
it was good.
And did you make a decision on what to replace the dead trees with in Island Village?
No, we haven't made a decision, but we did make a decision that I asked United to get them out of there quickly.
I was gonna say.
No tree looks better than a dead tree.
Back in there, that stuff out.
Yeah,
The next 30 days.
I've actually signed the thing out, I think, last Friday.
there's also a thing in here to remove 4 or 5 cypress trees at 111 Grace Avenue.
We need the.
Second.
You need a motion on that?
I don't know why we do. Yeah.
The area between the sidewalk and the street is way too narrow.
About 3.5 feet.
Is that the site?
The trees are already about that big
Is
around.
that the site you showed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That just needs to go. We did that.
You can say that for every cypress tree.
Yeah,
Yes.
the knees are everywhere. They're bad.
I don't think you need to bring that back. to us. Anytime
Okay.
there's a cypress tree
That needs to be,
'Cause
okay.
It destroys everything around it.
Isn't there something the state protected the cypress tree?
No, it's only in a wetland.
It's in a wetland. They have to, yeah.
They have to move.
It's not a wetland.
It's not in a wetland environment,
No, it's.
All right, so that was approved.
but it's,
Well, do we have?
these weren't existing trees.
We have an obligation, is that part of the
It'll just, it will be taken care of.
design plan that we need to replace with something?
Those weren't designed to be there.
If those are on the plan, then.
No.
Yeah, good. Okay.
All right, that's it. Legal counsel?
Well, we got a motion to second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, anything else for us? 7C, legal counsel.
Yeah, so, we circulated the, regarding building. For statutes, generally. Next, you guys for initiative.
I did see in here that there's a recommendation that we get quotes in order for total.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead, I don't vote or we should guidance to staff, go ahead.
No, as long as the board approves that and directs staff to go out and get 3 quotes, which is gonna be
That- that will
difficult.
be The memorandum next meeting that we also have, so you guys can do that.
3 quotes per company.
3 votes, I love that idea.
Well, the problem with this is it narrows it down. Well, maybe not in Orlando. I know in Tampa it does. Because they have to be, is it 15 miles, Jay? From here? I think it's within 15 miles and the tow lot has to be within an X amount of miles. So it limits or it closes your pool a little bit, but as big as Orlando is, I'm hoping we can at least get 3.
There, it doesn't.
But there's on the list of this.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a little more.
Yeah, so they have to be, I think, within certain amount of miles. So we'll find those tow companies that were within those parameters and we'll get them for the next meeting.
Just one additional update. Eminent domain. Yep, so there are 4 parcels, we've received 3 appraisals. The one that this is appraisal on is now the Rush parcel. They're expected to get it back to us very shortly, but Jen wanted us to have. Or delegate it. Board members, so we can.
Delegated authority to what?
To review the 7 or before they file.
They're gonna be having conversations to rush this, to rush it and get the appraisal back.
They're trying to-
So we need someone to work with council and staff to be able to review whatever we get to expedite.
And turn it around so they don't have to wait for.
I would
Bingo.
I would like to, I'd be happy to, and I would like to do that, I've got some questions, just on the process. Piece. Or 1 out of 5, but if you want to delegate or not, I mean, I'm just asking.
Have we gotten numbers on the other 3 parcels?
We have to.
What are the 3 on the,
I do not.
okay, that's fine.
Can we even say that out loud? Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Sorry. So you want to delegate authority on this?
Well, yeah, are you able to, willing and able and bandwidth to do it?
You gonna be in town?
It's just a phone call. I can phone
Travel to China will never get you. No, just kidding.
That being, no, it's just, I mean, if all we're talking about is a phone call, that we're gonna get. Discussion.
Can we do, Greg as primary, and for whatever reason you get him called out of the country?
Yeah.
As a backup? Somebody can be a backup, I can be a backup, doesn't matter.
Well, Tom would do it.
So eminent domain, the board will work with Greg. If Greg's out of town, do we go to the vice chair or Dave, are you doing it? Who did y'all come to terms with?
Picking up one.
Yeah, me, Tom, it's getting late.
That's fine.
All right, got it.
Yeah.
Well, my other question is, I appreciate that they're trying to rush into this. That's their, I hate to say it this way, that's their problem, not mine. I would prefer it just comes back to the board. I got it. I feel like there's, between them and Mattamy, I'm constantly being put in this thing of, well, you need to do it on our time schedule, you know, it took a year to get it.
I don't think, they're not rushing it, are they, Jay? We're wanting to rush it.
It's both.
Oh, it is both? Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have the money, but if it means we wait another 2 weeks until a board meeting, I'd prefer just wait till.
That was the last update that we got from Ken.
Okay. So you wanna delegate it, or you wanna wait?
Delegate with it. No risk, no risk.
Yeah, there's no upside or downside.
Got it.
Just delegate.
Anything else for us, sir? Any questions for Jay? Engineer report.
Good evening, just a couple quick things, first one is the Celebration Bridge pedestals. If you wanna.
Oh, yes, I saw the picture.
I got printed out some color pictures of the fair, so just wanted you to take a look at them. There's one.
That's not really on half, it's southwards.
It's the drag strip, so.
The-
The
closer. One without the cap is.
Are these two separate?
Yeah.
Yes.
the Original.
Yeah, one staple, one's.
Without the cap.
Yeah, what's it?
Oh, I see.
Brand new.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
well,
brand new.
One with or without a cap.
It's rusted.
Yeah, so the one with the cap, there's 2 pages, it's basically just a front view and a side view. That was the existing one that's there, got a several levels still there, the second one without the cap is there, with repair, the second repair, press the repair, once they did a real horrible job. Is with wasn't even the same color.
So I'm sorry, the one with this, the one that
Oh,
has the
wow.
cap on the first page is.
They're bad.
Yeah, and the second page is just the side view of the same cap.
That really is now. That's what
That's an original.
Original.
That's
Yeah. The fixes are terrible.
Yeah.
The fix was worse than the original.
Mhm. That's what we're saying.
Want to make sure I get the right point. So just a little while.
Still, it's the cap, but
They can only find so many 12-year-olds. So that's.
they did install the full box there, you can see, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that the only one they've done so far? And there's how many more to do?
Well, that's a whole nother subject.
I'm just looking at the. I'm not trying to be that guy, I'm gonna be that guy for you.
This is the type of work I expect from me.
No, this is hard, you look at it.
Now, they're gonna put a cap.
It's, they're gonna have to cover the whole thing.
This is terrible. My kids and I playing Jenga, this looks like what happens to everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's obvious, you know what it is, here's the problem. They took it off. They didn't take a picture of how it looked before to actually refer to it, and everything's placed in the wrong, these not the same stones.
All they have to do is look at the next column,
Yeah.
or the one on either side of it.
So they've only done one of these. I know we're gonna win all sorts of friends and park for Christmas parties here, but do we have the authority to go back to them and say,
That's a.
Yeah.
okay, good.
Okay,
I think the consensus from the board is we're going back to them on this one, and say, no.
Yes, that's
yeah. Alright.
not nice.
But they did fix the whole new column.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you having those conversations or do you need me to jump in?
Yeah, you guys have been meeting with Tanner.
Got construction meeting Thursday, so
Oh, that'll be a fun one.
Wednesday or Thursday.
All right.
Tell them door number 1, door number 2. They did fix the pull stations, they are still fixing the pull stations, in every one of the columns.
Nah, I don't know. That's the thing.
That's my bigger concern than even what the appears. I want to make sure.
Yeah.
That's
Jay's
a big
office,
no.
a letter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regarding-
Are we at the point where you guys can launch that letter for the next? We've been kind of in this cusp for 4 or 5 months.
I think Jan is prepared to do the letter because she did ask for some final information from Mark and Russ, and I believe that's been provided. Or at least the last email I saw, it's been provided. So I think she's ready to pull the trigger.
We've been at this for 6 months. We're at the point.
Yep.
We need to escalate this. Okay, thank you.
Second item, is the new crosswalk and handicap ramps at the intersection of Campus and Front Street there by the tunnel bridge. Russ and I went out and looked at it. Had a common sense discussion on it. Russ, we agreed what side it would be best on, if you've got tell side of that intersection. Russ had reached out to the county to say, you know, it's something we can just do. Before they came back, get a right.
You know what?
Right away permit.
That cost them.
Right away permits are usually submitted by a contractor, you've got to have an underground license to go with it. And you know, we can obviously help with some of the information there, but one of the things they're gonna look for is a plan. Plan that has the 2 scale, but it's gonna be, you know, sufficient quality for them, see what they're reviewing and approving, right? So really, I don't know what the next step you guys want to take with that. If you just wanna try to, well, you just gotta get a contract first, they're gonna wanna see a plan, you know, we can obviously take Google aerials and sketch where we want sidewalk and ramps. Whether or not that's enough of the county. Survey that intersection.
Give me a rough idea when that
Is
costs.
the district paying for this or the county? Because I think the county said no, right? Am I remembering this correctly?
Kind of pay for the crosswalk. Across the pavement. Sidewalk ramps. Actually, could be on. Sorry.
That'll be district. Okay.
So we've got engineering design costs.
Labor and construction. Yeah.
Give me Russ back then. I remember we talked 15,000.
I think you're over that.
We've got to go survey and do an engineered plan. And for that. Construction. For one pair of grants. They got the prices a few years ago. So.
20 to 25,000.
Yeah.
To do this whole thing.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, I got a question, just for. Ask. Would they accept a Google plan? I mean, we can try.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Huh?
That's a little lockdown. You're going to survey. Schedule.
It's a very small piece.
Yeah, but I mean, is the construction driving the cost? Or is the survey and?
Yeah, the construction's still gonna be the $1,000. Without the curb. But maybe a little less. We've got.
I don't think it'll even cost that much.
It's getting up. I think it was like.
It's Infomark can do it.
Because those, we can't play with that,
Well, you can.
It's only a little
I mean,
thing
if you
from like
just
here tomorrow.
make
Your
it
team?
to match, but the
Give
crosswalk
her
is
a-
200 feet.
He's not on your team. So we
that's what I'm saying,
would.
it's just, it's
Yeah.
not advanced.
Oh, so you're saying
Imagine-
Inverark
What I
Field
think
could
if
do
you're
it.
low, it's
Okay.
$10,000, we assume no
We
engineering
go for
costs.
free.
You go to Google Maps, and there's an additional 10 to 15,000 of installation, or it's 10 to 15,000 of installation, plus 10,000 of engineering.
But one can happen before the other, before we commit them.
Yeah, you gotta get approval first.
Right,
Right.
so if you do that and you say, oh, yeah, this is good enough, okay, and then we can, then it comes back to the board to say whether you want to do it.
I'll say now, I'm not ready to spend $2,000, whether or not the engineering is zero or not.
I just don't think it's gonna cost that much. I don't, and maybe the, have Russ maybe take a look at, to really budget, how much can it really cost?
Yeah. You got the old cost.
I mean, it's not a rush, so we can do more research.
Okay.
That's.
That hole's gotta get.
Is it 1 or 2 crosswalks?
One.
You're just talking about going from the bridge towards Starbucks.
Yeah.
That's the existing one. One, right here.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact I can't understand why they didn't.
I don't, and then we were going to the tavern for lunch, and you got one motorized wheelchair, and they're
Well,
on
it's
the road.
because that's not a right. That's an entry to.
Well, it wasn't, yeah, it was just an entry into that, and then they built everything.
Yeah.
And they should have addressed that.
We're taking this tomorrow and come back.
I'm just not ready to
No, I don't disagree. I think we'll do some more research, figure out what the actual cost, and then we'll, I mean, again, it's not. After everything that we just did, I think we gotta watch it. So I'm not against it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
The third thing was just, some follow-up discussion, direction that we wanna go on the steep slopes next to the sidewalks on Celebration Ave. Prior, well, kids coming to school. Steep slopes, where you got the 2 culvert crossings, you got the handrail.
Drop offs.
We had this conversation last meeting, it was $100,000, which I. So,
Yeah, because you can't put green chain link, which is what we talked about originally.
Can't do that.
But
It doesn't,
even if you wanted to put chain link, you still have to put chain somewhere, and that would be still, that is, man, it's very expensive.
we asked the
Need
engineer,
dirt
is it in
and backfill.
compliance? The answer is no. Is that your professional?
On some of it, yeah.
And the $100,000 just to get us in compliance here. It's not anything. extra.
Matching the metal
Well,
rail.
it's actually over 100.
Already up there.
Isn't it over 100?
Not sure what the total price got back.
Oh.
I forget, I think it was
You
100,000.
use my links for both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 2 things. We've had committee notify us, you verified it non-compliance. I don't think it's a choice.
I hear you.
I mean, that's just, is it not?
Well, the choice is the fix.
Right.
One is a railing. Is there another option or is that the only?
I think we talked about backfilling, but even if you put dirt in there to bring it up, it's still gonna be out of compliance, I
I
thought.
mean,
Why couldn't you use chain link fence?
well,
Aesthetically.
Can we not simply take, I mean, I got it, that green box celebration railing is, can we not simply take, I don't want to say a pipe wrench, but what you would see on a standard sidewalk, just a railing, and we're only talking about extending this one 10, 15 feet.
If you wanna just
It-
do one spot, it'll be a lot cheaper, that's for sure.
I mean, if we were gonna do that, I'm also gonna ask the question, take out, because now you're gonna have something different, whether it's chain link or whatever else.
Yeah, it's
There's
gonna-
green pipe railing and then something else on the other side. Do we just take out the green and just go consistent all the way across? That way, people are gonna be up in arms, but at the end of the day, it's a safety thing. If we can do it with $10,000, maybe that number is close to.
You're talking about the, like, just a regular pipe rail type, but listen, if it was consistent, I don't separate, like, different things, I wouldn't like that. But if there was consistency in it, look,
We're really only talking from a bow kind of in front of the 851 building to where you get around the curve. I think extending it out beyond the curve.
again, kids go back and forth, right, and it's brought to us, so we.
All it takes is one kid falling over there, we're all sitting here saying, oh my God, not do.
So do we give direction to management to see if they can just.
Something other than the $100,000 celebration green.
Well,
Well-
and the thing is, and if Angel comes back and goes, I found a new one. It's 95,000, well, there it is, right? I mean,
Well, I mean, it has to be aesthetically, what are you willing to compromise aesthetically? Because that's the part. We can do 1,000 different fixes, but what are you, the board, aesthetically going to accept? Because that's the question.
Something that's not gonna get up on the. Well.
Well,
Listen, what we do.
if I'm not mistaken,
They probably make green, like they have around the pools and stuff, I'm sure that's really cheap.
well, I think on the other side.
Like
doing
around the
green bar,
pools and stuff there.
There are other fences, not the tall one, but there is something that is just like the railing you have, so it is consistent in other places.
I'm thinking more of a railing than a fence, chain link fence to me is.
No, it can't be chain link fence, when I'm talking about what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I think on the other side of the school, there's something similar. But I have to look, because that'll be consistent, we have to, I'll go.
And I'm only talking about consistent in that stretch. If one side of the school has something different than. what we
No,
have-
I get it, but but obviously, that was also pleasing to everybody, that was improved at some point too.
The railing's not the construct here, it's the reinforcement, it's the wall, retaining wall, right?
No, there wouldn't be a retaining wall.
I'm just talking about taking like. the-
Three longer
Like a
tubes,
pipe railing,
concrete.
1.5 to 2 inch pipe railing and just sinking it into the concrete, sinking it into the sidewalk.
Can you do that?
That's what we're talking, that's with that price.
Yeah,
$1,000.
that's what that is for.
That's not a,
Green pipe, I'm talking about something aesthetically less than that.
Well, you could take up all the green piping, and put in something.
Yes.
Just put in
Exactly.
silver railing like they have everywhere else, not in Celebration, but
Is that really a conflict?
it's not a whole lot. 'cause
It's not gonna
solid
be.
aluminum.
You're telling me it's gonna cost $100,000 pipe railing to go
In 4 sections,
50 or 75?
so a little bit
Yeah.
longer than that.
because we would paint it Celebration Green. That's
It
not
would
gonna
already
be,
painted.
yeah, it's not, that's not the driver. Even if you wanted to order just metal.
4 railings.
It's more than 4 railings for what I got a quote for.
I mean,
I don't remember right offhand, but
Celebration Ave.
It's both sides.
On both sides, you know, so on Celebration Ave, that's really where you, in my opinion, you put it about 350 feet. 350. I went out there and marked, if you walk on the sidewalks either way, there should be an orange stripe with the measurement. Watch off of this one. To go.
You
Where
did
I
that on
thought-
both sides?
Yeah, both sides. The one on Greenbrier, you know, the standard that I'm kind of following is the DOT standard, and although a lot of it meets it, you know, you can have the resident. Just the kid drive down it, so if the big cars, DOT or not, it's really important what standard you guys. 2-foot shoulder next to it. You do have a 2-foot shoulder, actually 3-foot shoulder on the Greenbrier, but you still have steep slopes, so visually it still looks like that. Greenbrier, you wouldn't necessarily need to put any, on Celebration Ave, you do have, in some places less than a 2-foot shoulder and or more than a 10-inch drop on the 2 sidewalk.
So I'm gonna ask $1 million question. Is the wood line there ours or is that SIPTOT?
What, the wetland area is not, it's gonna be.
Yeah, that doesn't
But
matter.
It's our property because we've got that strip on the right.
Well, but
Yeah.
if the erosion going into the woods is SIPTOT property, they not have the obligation.
It's not gonna be theirs, it's gonna be the district.
Just trying.
Yeah,
I know.
Well,
sorry.
this is black and white. We're supposed to fix broken crap.
I
Their
agree.
job. And so if it's broken, we gotta fix it. And this is why we need reserves.
And
So
again,
that-
you're bringing it down to safety versus aesthetics.
Putting a 2 foot shoulder, if you were to, Dave and I are talking to fill in the areas that have the drop off.
That's since they
2 feet out.
but.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
Yeah,
it's right.
minimize this, but is that?
It's been right before, so we're gonna use it.
And I'm sure it's got years.
Mm.
Wash out and stuff. No?
It just depends on what we wanna do. This is the standard.
We
want.
put it in compliance and we have to make it aesthetically match.
So, there's opportunity costs to fill in.
Probably gonna cost just as much.
A
doing
lot
that.
of fill
Guys, I'm
in.
looking at the map, filling in,
That's a lot of fill in.
as you're going from town hall around the corner towards downtown. We own, I'm gonna guess, 50 feet right here. The rest of that is SIPTOT right here and SIPTOT or the school district right there. Like, the woods aren't ours. I'm having a hard time understanding if the woods have eroded out. And it's the wood line going from what I imagined 25 years ago to this, to now going like this. I have a hard time understanding why it's our responsibility that the woods went down and it's not our problem.
It's not the woods, I thought. It's from the sidewalks
Slope, yeah.
down. It's the slope down to the woods. That is our property. The wood lines have nothing to do with it.
Look at the GIS map. I mean, we own the 50-foot stretch roughly going from town hall around to the curve. But then once you get past that 50-foot stretch, that's SIPTOT.
But the drop off is on our.
Correct.
But you like the top property starts back sidewalk, that's. the
I
thing.
mean, it's.
It,
rough
there's
GIS
no
map.
way it
So,
does.
so what I'm getting, because I know, I love you all. But what I'm getting at is, I think this goes back to management to identify these areas. And making sure that who's what, so we can go ahead and take the next step. Yes, I know we have to decide this, but
At $100,000.
we got a lot of questions. And we're not gonna resolve that tonight, that's my opinion.
All right, so we'll come back to the August meeting with exactly who owns the property, which
But also alternatives.
pretty believes it is.
It might end up being us, right?
It
It'll-
is.
It'll be us, and we're gonna have to
Yeah.
pay for it.
I'll bet you a couple.
It is us, but,
That's
but alternatives of different options.
There's also alternatives on, because I think last time the quote was on
The green railing.
Extending it exactly as it is.
Mhm.
If, yeah, or concurrence here, if we just rip out that entire thing and replace it with something a lot cheaper, but which is compliant, may not be beautiful, but it's compliant. I would like to see.
Well, I think it needs to be nice. It does.
It does.
I don't see how that's gonna, you can ask, but I don't see how that's gonna see it.
Bring us some options of what you reasonably think nice looks like and what you just think compliant is. I wanna see the difference between the two.
Are you asking what
Angel,
Russ
no,
thinks looks nice or what
Angel.
Angel thinks looks nice?
Angel, I'll work with you on that.
Because
I'm not
Russ
gonna
is,
remove what's there though.
Don't let Russ be in the group
Right.
when we decide.
I'd like to see the top and bottom of the stack, because I wanna understand, if we're talking 20 grand to 100 grand, that's a lot different than if we're talking 95 grand.
That's what I'm saying.
okay,
And if it's just a small savings, like, I'll just keep it.
Okay.
okay.
How come, I didn't see on the agenda the structural engineering issue though, but you said it's.
I didn't. It's it, you got it on the email. So essentially, board, under my additional items, which is on the agenda, so we can bring this up, you all got the report from the structural engineer about the boardwalk at Aquila Loop. So that is gonna be something you're not gonna solve tonight anyway, but it needs to be on the next agenda for you all to decide what you wanna do there, because if you read some of it, it said end of life.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What are you looking like that for?
Aquila Loop, boardwalk?
Isn't it Aquila Loop? Am I
Yeah,
saying the wrong
yeah,
thing?
Yeah.
It's the boardwalk
You
we
know-
just got.
You know what needs fixed there?
A lot of stuff according to the engineer's report.
Yeah, but just where it.
It's the structural stuff underneath.
3 or 4 6.
No, no, so there's another piece to that, another piece of the report.
No,
That part we don't have to fix, that's just
No.
aesthetic.
yeah,
He must have added that after he talked to me then.
Yeah. there's-
yeah.
He said that.
There's some issues that are warped and some things that are end of life.
It's the abutment, the concrete abutment.
Correct.
Mhm.
I will. So he went back out there, I guess, without me then, and got a boat and did that?
He,
I'm just,
You annoyed him?
he took, pictures are in the report. I mean, the pictures are in the report,
Right.
so. Yeah.
So let's discuss this in the next.
It'll be on your August, but you have the full report.
Are you going to have for August actual votes for remediating, whether you say remediate? or
Mhm.
just- Okay,
So you can look, it doesn't mean you're gonna approve them or not approve them, but you'll have it as one
I just wanna make
package.
sure more than just discussion of the report, let's talk about ideas. What
Yep.
it is.
Yeah, because the report says you get 6 months before it fails, so.
Correct.
Yeah, dangerous. My other question is, as a larger, going into the next fiscal year,
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we picked this one. Are we ready now at this fiscal year to go out, do we need to study every linear foot of boardwalk? We just did it with this one boardwalk, we just.
And I'll tell you, that one costs $400 to have inspected. So if you,
I think we need.
if you want, I can engage them at the next board meeting. You can determine if you want us to engage that firm to do an inspection of all of them.
Can you ask him because we've got, what, a dozen walks,
I don't
six
know.
birds and stuff.
How many do we have?
If you can ask him for a quote for a walk,
We have 30 boardwalks. I didn't know the number he knows.
if you can ask him for a quote, I'd like to see it broken down, because if we just get one gigantic number, it's sort of, again, how to prioritize these. I expect this is not gonna come back as a cheap one. But if we can get that quote from him, as to surveying every board, like he did this, I'm scared to do it, but I think we need to do it.
Well,
Okay.
the problem is if we don't do it, and then something happens, and listen, I threw that out there.
Yep.
That boardwalk, we have the preliminary
That's
stuff
what I
right now, so.
I can explain. I remember.
All right, any other sunny news, Mark?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Any other questions? Mark?
No.
All right, master planning updates. Beat to death at 4, let's see if it's got anything else. Liaisons.
Turn.
Any liaison reports? One thing I do have here, I will put out,
Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Infomark's contract is up in February. They made the decision about 4 or 6 months ago not to do an RFQ and to continue with Infomark. We had done this years ago. We had about 4 months, 3 months from the time Sandra, Jack, and I got on board, so we had to redo it. And it was a pretty quick hustle that we were getting through to renegotiate terms, anything else. I would like to start that conversation, at least as a board now, that we're in July, and suggest either A, do we want to have a workshop in the next 60 days, no more than 60 days as a board, to say, hey, do we want to change anything? Do we want to review the scope of work? Do we want to review how things are operating, anything else? Or do we want to go straight into a negotiation conversation of extending their contract? The clock is ticking, now's the time we need to think about how we want to. Thoughts?
I get 2 quick thoughts. One is that there's a task force in Pro that's going over their management contract, so I'd like to take what they do as a guideline on what our contract might want to look like.
Don't we know somebody on
Gary's in all of our meetings anyway, so.
Now, well, but keep in mind that whole thing is not, it's not
Not
the
the
same.
same.
So I
They're,
think,
they're targeting a lot of things that I don't know necessarily will pop up.
No, but my point is that but we want to take a look at that before we lock in our scope of work is going to be, because they might uncover things that might interest us. Great.
I wouldn't copy them. I definitely would read it and see if there's something to get that.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I want to see that first before I.
That's fine. That's fair.
Gary, if you can send any more products to date, she can distribute on things that you've done, and choose to.
I'm not allowed to because the resolution requires all of our working to be in person. It's not televised, it's always in person.
When will you expect to be appointed? Might have something.
When we release our final report, which will be, say, the first week.
Okay.
You have plenty of time. Our contract's up in February, or it expires in February, I should say. Yeah.
In the meantime, I would like to consider a workshop, I would say no later than end of September. Because it's gonna take time to react. If the will of the board is how we did it last time, was Jan and I went back and took the inputs from the board, got those negotiations for marketing, brought those back to the board as, hey, here's the final work product. And listen, last time we were kind of lucky because we had one meeting to do it and everybody agreed on that stuff. We come back and say, I don't like that, we need more time, and it takes another meeting. I don't want to be right up to the February contract if we can help. So can we, Angel, we don't have to figure out a date right now. Can you figure out from us before the end of September, we'll break the workshop.
Okay, well, everybody check their calendars and come to the August meeting prepared to throw out some dates for a workshop. Okay,
Do we have to go to the August meeting? We just say it's the next, I'd like to get it on the calendar sooner if we can.
go ahead.
September 10th. Okay.
September 10th.
Just email, Jill, we can figure it out next week or so.
Okay, I got it.
Liaison reports. Conversations with Osceola County earlier. Other business, supervisor comments. Those Trace.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, no.
I'm just
Sorry.
kidding, Jack. He's looking at,
No traffic report, 2 months in a row. Okay,
Ashley. Okay.
Lauder, doesn't exist.
They don't send it to us. We have to request it. They don't, I don't know why. I can't remember even the reasoning they gave us when we asked for that.
Tell us about the.
Yeah, because that's not part of what they send details, but there's no blotter. They gave it to us that one time because Greg specifically requested it from
Okay.
whoever the captain is.
I'd like to reach out to Pro and say their covenants and sections are homeowners who trim back their hedges off the sidewalks. There's a lot of hedges in North Village and other areas that foot and a half into the sidewalk.
You're the pro liaison.
I can send an email to Lauren, telling her that we're getting some complaints about the landscaping at individual homeowners going over the sidewalks
Yeah.
and alleys.
Well,
As they're inspecting the thing.
but this also ties into us doing the sidewalks, because there are, I don't know how you guys are gonna be able to do sidewalks when you got a hedge that's over top of your sidewalk.
Yeah, no, that would be part of the communication is to get that done and we'll lay out kind of a plan of dates to where we can give it to CROA and say, we really need this stuff trimmed back and moved by this date because we're getting ready to start a project.
You can trim it or we can trim it.
We trim it, we'll have it.
And that's essentially what's gonna be. If we have to move it or it's there, it could risk getting broken or messed up. So,
That's it.
all right, and we will get on the blotter, Jack. It's just that's not something that they provide. We had to get it last time and Greg asked for it.
It is correct.
Yeah.
Everything we can to get any response there.
Yeah, so I apologize for that, but
No, I understand it. I'm
yeah.
giving you a.
Oh, no,
Sure, it's failed us again.
yeah,
All right.
sorry.
Any other comments? Public comments we already did, so appreciate those. And motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Third day.
Good night.
Oh, I got one more thing.
No, you're good.
Russ, I will. Thank you.